Forget it. We already started. Just keep on going.
All right. In that case, welcome back, guys. This is Arnaldo, a.k.a. Mad Dog. And that, of course, is David, a.k.a. Dream Twister. And this is The Real, episode 321 of GG's The Mouthful Podcast.
GG! Yeah. My coffee-induced war cry. As I was finishing the last, the little bit that I had left before the show, because I wanted to be unencumbered. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you so much for joining me, sir. How many cups of coffee do you drink a day?
Not as many as I would love to.
If I were allowed to,
technically, like if I was, let's say I was single and didn't have anybody to care for me and I had easy access to a coffee maker, I'll be drinking coffee at least 3 or 4 times a day, if not more. I have people in the family that drink like that, and I've heard that is pretty bad for you, but I don't see how it could be wrong. I mean, I'm trembling right now. I'm shaking. I'm probably very incoherent, but I know. Yeah. I can still operate heavy machinery if you're asking me.
If there's one way of knowing, so I generally, so for the record, I have two a day.
2 a day. 2 a days. That's awesome. That's ideal, but that's not always possible for me because I'm at the age that right now, if I drink something after 7 p.m., I would not be able to sleep.
I have them in the morning. I don't have them in the evening, sir. I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning.
2 o'clock coffee is like one of the best times to be enjoying coffee with and playing a game, and man,
that's like the British tea time. I think
that is the British tea time. Exactly. Yeah, it's our 4:20. It's 4:20 somewhere.
I have to. If I don't have, dude, I am miserable.
Oh, I know you.
I don't have my coffee.
I remember you always walk into the office with your coffee, with your Starbucks. That never failed. It never failed that you brought coffee.
It just, and I would get a big one. Like right now, I have 2 cups because I'm using a Keurig at home. So it's like, well, that wasn't enough. I need more. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm at 2 cups. But technically, if it was the Starbucks I used to get, it would be considered 1 because it would just be the big venti that I would get. Yeah, But yeah,
venti frappuccino, cappuccino to go. I'm sorry, sir. Did you say venti cappuccino? Yes, and make it a red eye. Which one was the worst? The one that they put it was pure caffeine on it. I think that's the red eye.
I don't know. I don't think I ever asked for that. So
you never asked for it? Oh man, no. That's what they give you, the 2 shots of adrenaline. The cocaine.
Oh no. I would
probably had a different name
for it, because if I remember correctly,
the happy ending.
The tall was the smallest one, and that had 1 large shot of the coffee. Right. Then it would go 2 for the grande, and then 3 for the venti. But you can ask for 4 in the venti, and occasionally I would ask for 4. Not all the time. Sometimes I ask for 4 on that, and then they call it quad something. And I haven't done it in a long time because I haven't gone to fucking Starbucks in forever. But anyway, no, I was just curious because I know you just finished your cup of coffee, and I'm like, I can't have that now at this time, Melody. I can't.
Well, I know that I don't. It's Friday. It's Friday, and I don't go to bed early on the weekends, so like I don't mind having it. Like I could have. I mean, 1 in the morning, I'll probably have another one if allowed. Like I don't give a shit at that point. But no, man, I just love that. It's not even like in your case. I understand that if you don't have coffee, your body will ask for it.
It is that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say before that. That's how you know it's not good for you. You know,
right? Right. It becomes like freaking addictive. Like you actually have to have it, otherwise you actually go to little withdrawals.
Yeah.
See, with me so far, because there have been some changes. Before, I used to be completely immune. I could have it, I could not have it, but I always like having it because I always love like the taste of it, and I had no issues with going to bed or whatever. Now I have the issues where if I could stay awake, if I drink it late. But like there have been days where like I realized like, oh shit, I woke up too late, and let's say my wife's out already in the morning, and I woke up too late to make coffee. I'm like, oh well, shit, I'm just gonna have to start working, and I'll get it through the day at some point, and I don't, and I'm still okay, and I'm still fine. But I will always much rather have it.
Not I, sir. By the time that 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m. rolls around,
you're shutting down. You're switching to beer.
My head is blasting at that point. It's like I have a headache, and believe me, I'm annoyed at any little thing, bro.
You'll be irritated if you don't.
Really irritated, and of course the headache is just there, and it's happened a few times here because we don't have milk or we don't have coffee cups, and I have to wait for someone to go to the store to grab it. But yeah, that's how I know that it's like, yeah, I've gotten to that point because it's 2 a day, every day, for years.
Isn't that what the doctor orders? 2 a day, every day. Coffee every day.
Apples that they order. Anyway.
Oh, that's apples. Okay. How about them apples? Yes. I have 0 apples a day.
And you're just fine. You see, doctor. What do doctors do?
I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know what? I realized I barely ever get sick. Like I could pass like fucking knock on wood and thank God and any entity you want to believe in. But I didn't get COVID, and it's not like I was super careful. I don't tend to get sick. In that part, I feel like the guy from Unbreakable. It just don't happen. It just doesn't happen. And I think I know why. And it's because I have well-developed antibodies, because to this day, I'll be grabbing whatever shit is anywhere and chewing on it, piece of plastic or frigging whatever it is. So that has trained my body already to resist,
foreign invaders.
Yes, exactly. And the viruses and all that. And I'll tell you, man.
That's the secret, guys. That's the secret. So basically, go around licking everything, guys. That's a lesson till we
let your kids
build up your
lick the floor. It's just, doesn't kill them, make them stronger. Not right.
Or fatter,
horrible
right?
parenting advice.
Yeah, it is very horrible, guys. And we are so joking, for the record, guys.
Yes, exactly. We don't condone, and we don't. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Don't try this at home.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. If this is your first time listening, I need you to go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. Of course, that takes you right to our Facebook group. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. What we normally do, guys, first we go into what we have been up to, move on into some various news items, and of course, we finish with our hot topic of the week. This week's hot topic: elements of a good open world design. Or good open world design, I should say.
We've never talked about open world in the podcast before.
Yes. Not at least 3 times at this point. But they're always for different reasons. And I think this particular one is more, I think you would agree, is more focused on what is it that makes them, what is it that makes the good ones good? Mm-hmm. Why is it that some stick out as, engaging and something you feel you want to explore, and other ones just feel like, as I put on the post, an exercise in tedium. And so, so that's really what we're going to get into. We'll have some comparison of what we mean that is good, and what examples of certain games that have nailed it and others that are failing miserably.
And nailing us.
Yes, exactly. But with that, let's get going into what we've been up to. Sir.
Yes, sir.
I am curious. What have you been doing this week?
I am so glad you ask. I've been playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Woo! Nice. On PC, I
Actually,
assume.
a little bit, just a
Okay.
little bit. Yes, a little bit. I haven't played too much of it.
Is this
Uh,
PC or console?
yeah, it's basically, well, it was Game Pass, so I grabbed it on PC. And of course, I'm referring to the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that came out. Uh, that is dot emu is dot emu is either check for me, but I think they're the publishers.
Let me see.
I don't think it's basically it's like going back to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade game. So it's that style of brawler. It's not trying to be a
So for the record,
3D.
this one is Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah,
Thank
Shredder's
you. I
Revenge,
knew
yes.
that it had a title. A subtitle. Yes.
And
Teenage
it
Mutant Ninja
is
Turtles. Shredder's Revenge.
yeah, and it is developed by Tribute Games, published by Dotemu.
Thank you. Yes. 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 Uh, so, dude, I really like what they did with this game. I like. I'm. This is a game of its time, so do expect it. Like, don't expect anything like, oh my god, super revolutionary. This is more like you remember playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the arcade. The arcade in particular.
Mhm.
How would you like if we took that element and made it very similar as far as looks, very similar to the way that you remember seeing it, but kind of fleshed out, like took away, or how can I say this? Like, instead of being arcadey, like it's still arcadey, but we're gonna add elements of progression, and I'm not talking about like tech trees or anything like that, but I'm talking about like a tangible progression that will have you playing more and exploring. Like the world has the game has an overworld map that looks like Mario Brothers 3. The
Oh
overworld
yeah,
Mario Brothers
yeah,
3.
okay.
And
Also, if I'm not mistaken, what is this? Oh my god, this dude with the seven evil X's.
oh,
Scott Pilgrim also
well,
had
stop
an
programming,
overworld
yes.
like that which was also a beat 'em up. So it's I think it's borrowing a little from that too, probably.
Yeah, it totally. And if you remember that Scott Pilgrim have a little bit of progression in it, so it was not just a straight up brawler like Final Fight or Streets of Rage. It borrowed from, like, it made it so that the game will be a little bit more replayable. Although if you want just a pure arcade feel, and there is a mode that is just very arcadey and very short, where you're basically replaying the areas that you're playing on the campaign mode, on the story mode, which is a little bit more elaborated. And I'm using that term loosely, the campaign mode, because like it still feels like something that you'll see in an arcade, but it's fine. It's very well done. It's very well done because the fighting feels solid. Obviously, not just the turtles, but you also can access like April O'Neil and oh my god, what's the rat's name?
Splinter.
Splinter, thank you. I was gonna call him Shredder. Jesus. It'd be awesome if Shredder was like a playable character, kind of like Shiva was on Streets of Rage. Anyway, and so the fighting, those games live or die by the way that the brawler portion feels. And I'm glad to say that they nailed it on this one. They like the hits feel punchy. The timings of your throws or an attack, they feel like you remember them from the arcade. As a matter of fact, some of them are straight up lifted from the arcade. Like you remember sometimes it'll grab one of the foot soldiers, for example, and they will, and there was a move that you can just throw them towards the screen, and then you see the foot soldier kind of like zooming like mode 7 into you towards you. I mean, and and also when you fall on the manholes, and they'll be like,
turn out the lights.
They say,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like he has a lot of silly throwbacks to the arcade game. So it's basically that experience fleshed out, and 6 players up to 6 players simultaneously.
That
Sounds
has to be
incredibly
mass
fun.
hysteria. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind buying this game to play with with you guys. Like
Oh, I
I
plan to.
got
I
a
plan
Game
to
Pass,
get it.
but if you guys set up a night where we all played on PlayStation, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because sadly it's not cross play. I don't think.
I can check for you, sir, but
I I,
I'm
I,
pretty
I
sure it's
I
not.
don't
Yeah.
I don't think. Anyway, I haven't played that much to give like a final score or anything like that. I just played enough to say, hey, this is a fun diversion, and we should all do it. Because unfortunately, playing, just playing by yourself, it's kind of boring a little bit because it's like, I mean, it's still fun. It's the brawler aspect is there, but this is the type of game that you really enjoy when you have other people. You know, um, unlimited lives, unlimited continues, or at least on the story mode or the story campaign. Uh, has very good music. Some music is actually like live music instead of being the soundtrack for games, like an actual live music by artists,
Yeah.
and they sound very 90s. Like it's trying to definitely evoke that era when the game came out. Its early impressions have been positive. That's all I can say. There's not really much more I can say about that. Definitely check it out. I think the game's like $25.
Yeah, that's
And I seen
the
it on
MSRP
sale.
I just saw on it, and it is crossplay between Xbox and PC, but
Right.
not Sony or Nintendo.
Right.
Though developers have mentioned this is not at launch, is how they put it. So
So it might be
it could be in
coming.
the works. Yeah. Mhm.
So maybe we'll freaking wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I'm doing, but you know me, I'm going through the backlog, and now that I have the fucking PlayStation, package, I've actually downloaded some other ones. I was
Oh
just like, what
shit!
am I doing?
You basically that was like the worst thing that you could have possibly done to
I
yourself.
think so, sir. Because I it's
Now
like
you have access to a backlog that you pretty much have given up. It's like it came back.
exactly. I just noticed it's like, oh wait, that's there tag. Oh, that there's tag. And I'm like, yeah, stuff that you like you said, you just kind of hang up and go, I'll survive without it. Now I have it.
Now you have it. Now you can go.
Yeah.
Now I can't wait to hear all your exploits in Metal Gear Solid 4. That's the one that I want to hear about at some point.
It's
And
not on
then
the I assume it eventually
damn it,
will come to the library, but
it
it's
must.
Konami still, so I'm
I
sure they're working
has
that
though.
stuff out.
That's a state. I mean that there's a game that is a staple of Sony if there has ever been one. I mean the game itself in dialogue made fun of other of other consoles, so I can't imagine it not being released.
I get you.
It's so good. So of course I took a detour to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or to get a taste of it, I should say, because you guys know that I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. Yes.
Mhm.
And I have not been enjoying Horizon Forbidden West for some of the reasons that in more general terms we're gonna go on the on the topic, but I can mention a few things here that have personally uh it's in no way I'm gonna say this is a bad game in any way, because it's totally not. But the things that have affected my cognition of the game, like my opinion, of it,
Mhm.
because I am getting burned out on it. It like it very quickly it started weighing in to where I want to stop playing, but I can't justify stop playing because of the because I spent money on it, and it feels like a title that I should have under my belt. Like the same thing happened. To be fair, the same thing happened with Horizon Zero Dawn, and Horizon Zero Dawn has been lauded as like this game was fantastic, and it is, and it is. I mean, I freaking bought it again on PC because I know it's a great game and I want to keep it and whatever. But what I expected of Forbidden West was some sort of evolution, if you will, and maybe I expected too much of it because what I got was basically what feels like an expansion of the of Horizon Zero Dawn, which Horizon Zero Dawn was a great game for its time. I feel like open world games have evolved and some of the things that we're going to talk about, right. And this is sticking to a formula that is not super great. But specifically about this game in particular, things that I'm going to get the bad stuff out of the way so I don't finish on the negative. So let me just get the bad stuff out of the way. I'm not particularly enjoying the battle, which is okay because I was never a big fan of it on the first one. But I thought that there was going to be some tweaks or some investments here that it was going to make it a little bit more dynamic, that it was going to make it feel like my character was more powerful. But unfortunately, that's not the case. You're still playing with the almost exact. I shouldn't say exact. Almost exact weapons and methods of fighting. Of course, there's some nuances here and there, some things that have been added, and some weapons that we haven't had before. But for the most part, I feel like that game has one weapon that you want to use that is like it's like the only viable fighting solution, and that is the impact arrows. You fight with impact arrows because you want to. What you want to do on those fights against the big machines is strip them out of important parts that you need to be able to be able to improve your weapons and your armor, and like those parts are crucial. You might be lucky to find them, to find a vendor that sells them, and usually when they sell them, they are exorbitantly expensive, so you can't just depend on that. But you got to get them from, your main source is going to be obviously fighting the machines. And the problem is that I'll say I'm probably more than 20 hours if I haven't been counting. And maybe I might even be exaggerating on the hour count. Just feels like 20 hours and it's probably 10. But the combat, it feels very slow because I'm using those impact arrows constantly, and those impact arrows only do damage on the parts, but on the parts, what the specific weak points. If you're not hitting the weak points, then like you could, you will throw 20 arrows and it'll still not, not the enemies will not take enough damage. And so every encounter feels tedious, instead of being like enjoyable. Like I can see people having fun with the aspect of stripping the parts out of the machines, when they're attacking you. Like I'm not saying that is a bad gameplay decision, choice. They decided to do it that way, and I bet a lot of people enjoy it. Chaos was telling me that he enjoys that a lot, and I told him like, yeah, no, it is a cool idea, but when it takes forever to down a machine, and you, as you go through this open world, you constantly finding many of them, it gets a little tedious. It gets a little annoying when you need a specific piece, a specific part of a machine, and it's not impossible, to hit them because it might be in their mouth, and you have to wait until they open their mouth for the few seconds that they do, and you have to make sure that that you point your, obviously you have bow and arrow, so you're pointing your arrow, making sure that you try to hit it exactly. It doesn't always work. So I have weapons where I'm thinking like I'll never be able to upgrade this because what this game is asking me to do, I will have to super grind to get, and I don't want to do that because I'm already not having fun with it.
Yeah.
Because of how slow the combat feels. So it's almost like you feel like you're killing the enemies in the wrong way. When you kill an enemy and they explode, but you haven't taken like a good part that you need, it feels like, okay, well, I kind of messed this up. Rather than celebrating the victory, you feel like, well, I kind of messed up now. Now I have to wait for them to respawn in the area, or I have to go to another area where they're at. And the traversal on this world is horrendous, and for reasons that I mentioned on the last podcast, which is the mounting, the horse riding aspect of it, or you're not riding horses, you're riding machines. The getting on your mount and moving, it's not fun. Mainly because you could be running at, you could be galloping at 100 miles per hour. Well, not 100 miles per hour. Let's say whatever, very fast, and come to a complete stop because you hit a frigging pebble on the road, and you're like, "Oh, come on, man! You kill my momentum there." Mm-hmm. And it's not like the game doesn't try to give you alternatives to tackle like combat, because the game, if you remember, Horizon Zero Dawn has this also. You can lay down traps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But if the traps were substantially better, that I could say like, okay, well, it's worth spending, putting points on traps and making and using them because it definitely helps you. But no, they end up doing almost the same amount of damage that just a few arrows directly. So what are you gonna do? You're just gonna spend time setting the traps, or you're just gonna take the fight head on? Yeah, it might look cool to draw the enemy towards a trap, but you're not gonna be doing that on all the machines in the game.
Yeah.
So
sometimes there's going to be scenarios where that's not even an option. So,
right. Yeah, exactly. You're not always going to have the luxury because of maybe you're in an enclosed area. Surprisingly enough, I find myself enjoying more whenever I have to go into the cauldrons. You remember the cauldrons, which are the locations where the machines are actually getting built and whatnot, which are usually like caves or dungeons.
Those exactly what they are.
Huh?
That's exactly what they are. Those are this game's versions of dungeons. Yeah.
Of dungeons, right. And the whole point of going through them is that you want to get all the way to the end so you can actually gain control of a set of machines, a predetermined set of machines that cauldrons create. And those I actually find fun because I really like the aesthetic, like the tech aspect of it, the tech look and creation of the machines, like seeing them how they get put together, or just seeing like the machines working on whatever is it that they're supposed to be doing. Like all of that looks super, super cool and very, very well done. Look, the world building itself of this game is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. You guys know that it looks beautiful, but I'm talking about like the chosen style the chosen art style of it. And those cauldrons look very cool to explore inside. The only thing is that they are kind of linear, which is maybe some of the things that I'm actually enjoying. You find some, I wouldn't necessarily call them like hard puzzles, but sometimes you kind of have to figure out how to proceed, how to move forward. And but it's enjoyable. It's sort of fast paced. You're constantly moving, and then at the very end, there's a boss waiting for you. And so those parts are linear and fun. And then you get out to the world, and you have a huge map. It's fucking huge, with so many icons that rather than get you excited, or rather than get me excited, it kind of just makes me go like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Because Chaos is right. You don't have to do them all. When you play a GTA game, you don't do everything.
To see them, and you can't help but notice all the little things around you. And then I know what you mean. Yeah, you technically don't have to do them all, but there's a little, part of gaming, being a gamer is the desire to complete things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to miss something that might end up actually being a cool aspect of it.
Exactly. And then when you play some of the other games, I won't even get into that, but just playing some of the other games and you realize, oh, how awesome this little side mission or quest or area, how awesome this actually was. And it really build on everything, on the lore, maybe it was just a cool one-off story that was completely random. Right. I think of the stupid fucking flying saucer that's in Red Dead Redemption 2. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Crazy house that you can go in and you can be assaulted just, but you don't really, you just wander into these little things. And that's what make, exploring is usually the way to go. But when you see it all, it's like, well, now you're left with too many options, if you will. You know what I mean? And it just becomes daunting at that point. Then you just feel like you're just checking off boxes so you can clear the area.
Yeah.
But I would say that Chaos and even to an extent myself, we also don't play a lot of the other open world games that you mentioned. You've played a lot of the Ubisoft ones. I haven't played any Assassin's Creed since the very first one, and I didn't even own it, and after playing, I had no desire to buy it. You know what I mean? So it's like I never even got into that series. The Far Cry series, I didn't even get into. You've played a lot of the Far Cries, so you actually have probably way more experience within quote unquote open world games. And I wonder if that is now to the detriment of enjoying this game, by having all that there. I wonder if you're like, oh, I've done this and we've seen this, and you know what I mean? I wonder if that's sort of jading your experience.
It could be like we had that topic at one point, open world fatigue.
Yeah. That was one of the topics. Yeah. You may be going through that right now. Like, I think we mentioned it more like the industry having the fatigue, but I think this is more of a personal, you're just fatigued.
Well, because I'm also looking, like, I'm thinking, okay, what's the next big exciting title that I should be like all upon? And it's God of War. And rather than be like overly like super excited, like, oh my God, I can't wait, like I was with Elden Ring, I'm looking at it more like, oh, it's just gonna be it's gonna be the same game I played, but with new icons, because that they're not gonna deviate from the formula too much. They can't. They can't. They already they already set themselves to do well. First of all, they set themselves to make sure that whatever games they do, it runs on PlayStation 4. So they can't deviate too much from the formula, because then it can't run on PlayStation 4, and that's gonna be problematic, and So I'm like, okay, cool. God of War is a great game, and yes, I will play it for that particular one. The story might give me a little bit more impulse, because it's not a game where there was like a super lot of stupid side quests. Like Dude, you saw it when I posted on our messenger group that one quest in Horizon Forbidden West had me looking for eggs and chicken and chicken nuggets. No, and bird meat. That was literally it.
Also known as chicken nuggets. Yeah.
Yes, also known as chicken nuggets. Chicken McNuggets. That was the quest. That's what I had. That's what the game had me doing. And I'm like, what? Why am I playing a freaking go fetch on a 2022 open world, highly anticipated from an amazing developer? It's baffling. It's like this is the shit that Ubisoft does all the time. Like,
and
I would expect this from them, and somehow I'm doing it here. Like, why? And it gets exacerbated when the traversal is not fun and the combat is not. It's slow, and those are the things. Oh, and the story. There is a underlying story here, but it's buried upon the myriad of like fetch quests and fugginess that you have to do. The side quests that are not fun. Like none of them are something that you can say, well, this was interesting. This was exciting. Oh, that was a, like you mentioned, something that you didn't want to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of this has been the quintessential, like everyday, open world store. Like they don't really have. They're not like Witcher 3 quality, side quest or anything like that. It's just go here, kill many, or collect this, come back for your reward. And that shit's annoying because I was okay with that on the first Horizon, but when we,
to an extent, you were.
To an extent, because that I wasn't like super happy, but I was okay. It was a game of its time, and now I feel like that shit is inexcusable. Like that is that you're not there's no evolution here. We're just playing the same game over. Dude, I can't stress this enough how samey it feels to the original one. If you play one, if you go with expectations of playing something super different on this one, on Forbidden West, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. It is.
I would probably argue that most people want more of the same. I think it may be a select few that we like, I do want that, but I also expect some sort of innovation.
I can see that. Yeah, no doubt. Because when you think about it, like, what do I expect more of? Of Elden Ring 2? Well, actually, give me more of Elden Ring, please. Thank you. Yeah. So if it was, it's like for some people, like this game, like if they love the first one, then they're absolutely gonna feel they're gonna love this one, and that's the game that Guerrilla created. Is for the fans, and there's that's fine, I'm just saying that it's not like the first one never super spoke to me. Like I always thought it was a good game, but it was not like
it wasn't your game of the year
finest. And and this one is not moving the needle, at all. It's still it's still a good game. For fans of the series, they're gonna eat this up. They're not gonna have any problem. Listen, I am guilty. I have my guilty pleasures with open world. I played the Ubisoft games, and I step out of most of them. But I did beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and even in those, I find myself sometimes even going back to. But the reason for that is because at least the combat was cool and it was interesting. It was. I felt like a badass. Like I like to feel whenever I'm playing, this game. It's good. Aloy feels like a badass in a different way. She is more strategic. She's more it's bow and arrow. Also, it doesn't really help because you know how I feel about bow and arrow fighting in general. So when that's your only way of, or not your only way, but
It's your primary way, though. I think
primary way of playing. Yeah. Because melee barely does shit. It's like, why am I meleeing machines? Maybe to the humans it does some damage, but why am I wasting time? Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue on it. I'm still on it, but I'm trudging. I'm trudging, bro. Honestly, and I think you said, you said that you had like you had no you were not at any worry of playing this game anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll have its moment probably, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll come around to it. But I don't know. I've seen. It's a shame because I did the first Horizon Zero Dawn. I remember really being engaged with the story, even though the story, I don't want to say it was piecemeal, but there were long portions in between certain times where you wouldn't get any story because you're really
that's exactly how it feels here because it's being the same formula.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, but then it's funny when you get to the story, like you have these long parts of story, and all that, and then
that's interesting because it's actually carrying the plot, and I almost wish there was a little bit more of that. Like it doesn't have to give me this open worldness. Like make it a little bit more concise. Make it about about that mainly, so I don't feel like I'm just wasting time doing errands and bringing chicken McNuggets to other people. I'm supposed to be like the savior of Meridian, and I'm fucking collecting eggs for some dumbass. It's like, come on. But you're right. There's long periods where nothing happens, but when the game carries on, when you decide to actually get back on track and continue the story, then it feels good. The problem is you could play like that feasibly, but it almost feels like the game is designed to not let you just book it through the end. At least it doesn't feel that way because, like, I remember that right now I'm leveled enough to go to the next part of the main quest, and that's what I'm doing, or that's where I left it. But there was a portion that there was a time where I was like 3 or 4 levels under, on the next level that I should be, and that I should be for the next, portion of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, okay, this is the way the game is telling me, go explore around, go do some, side quests and side quest content, and then come back when you're ready. And I'm like, that's fine. That's, that's most open world game for you. But let me see. Game has I said last before, it has a grapple mechanism, but it's barely used, and when it's used, it's not really fun. It doesn't have you swinging or doing any cool moves with it. It's just like it's a predetermined area where, like, okay, yeah, you can use your grapple here. Okay, nowhere else you can use a grapple except on this very specific area,
this specific spot. Yeah.
That's
marked already for you.
Exactly. Is where the game wants you to go. It wants you to go. And sometimes that gets super annoying when you're trying to solve puzzles where you're like, okay, what is it that you're trying to tell me, game? Because I don't know where you want me to go. I've been, watching here for, or standing here for half an hour looking at, with my visor, looking everywhere to see the next piece where you want me to go. Like at one point, like I don't care anymore. I'm going to YouTube and I'm just like pulling it up. Like, okay, what do you want me to do? Okay, I see. Thank you, game. I would have never figured that out. It's underwater. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed for that. This game, until I finish it, I realize or until I get my
until you're done with it, basically, depending on yeah.
But yeah, this game's projecting at 3 at most, and that's fine because that's still good. So,
Okay.
what else? What else? I don't think I've played everything. I mean, I've played some of the stuff, but it hasn't been anything major worth mentioning. And it's mostly being like, I just want to stop playing Horizon and get into something else, but then I can't get into anything else, so I get frustrated and I start sending messages like the one I sent that other day. I was like, dude, I think I'm done. I think I don't want to play, and like I literally feel that I don't want to play anything. And then Dark is like, dude, that's hard. You mean to tell me you don't have anything on the backlog? And I think that's the point. You have access to the backlog that I have. You can sort of get like when you have too many when you have too many choices, you get what's it called, like paralysis. Like
yeah. It's I mean, I don't think it's called paralysis, but yeah, I know what you mean. You just nothing's. There's just too many options at that point.
It's like you don't know what to grab, what to grab there. Or it could be like, yeah, but nothing's exciting me here. And I hear all of the list.
That's why
I feel.
I was just gonna say that's why what I do, because I have a massive back, maybe not as big as yours, but still massive enough.
Because you actually finish games. That's why.
That
and this from the person that we used to make fun of, like, oh, he'll get to the end and then be like, I don't need to beat you. I'm already done with you.
Anyway, yeah,
I'm going to show you mercy.
Exactly.
And I'm going to humiliate you. I'm not going to see the credits.
Yeah, because this actually goes to the developer, because they'll see, my God, he made it to the end. He never got the last trophy. Why would he do
that? You don't deserve me.
Yeah.
Finishing your game.
I don't want your stupid trophy.
I was going to say that. I don't want your stupid trophy.
But no, what I
walk into the sunset.
Yeah. What I end up doing is I plan out my next few. You know what I mean? So like I would have, like if I can tell them, or I've been in a game long enough, then I sort of plan out what's going to be the next one or two that I do. And then that's what I do. I plan that out first, and then I just kind of have that there, because you're right. If you just blindly go into your library and go, okay, what I'm going to play, I do that. If I have to do that with my movies as well. If I did that shit with my movies, I would burn an hour every time just going through the list. Yes. You know what I mean? It's like, yep. I'm like, no, I need to have a shorter. I have the main list, and then we have, the ones that are on the list. Yeah. The one that's on the what do they call that? The one that's on the block
on the bench
at the moment. Yeah. Or coming up to bat, or I don't know, whatever, however you want to fucking put it. And I have like 3 or 4 on that list. And then when I know it's, hey, I'm going to watch this, or if I'm going to play it, with games, it's usually just 1 or 2 that I have. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this one. I'm going to jump into the next one, and then most likely into this one. And so those that's already set up before I finish the game. So that's why quickly I'm able to sort of shift into another, because you're right. If I sat there and gone through all the stuff that I have
every day, you get you don't know what to pick.
Yeah. And most of the time, like I've done it before, I still am victim of that sometimes. And what I end up doing is turning it off, just putting it on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll scroll through, I'll just doom scroll through YouTube and find some videos to laugh at or some shit. Yeah. So.
It doesn't feel like gaming this time, so yeah, I'm not gonna force it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I look at it. Yep.
Yeah, I think of the times where I'm so engrossed in a game, and it doesn't matter. It could be a game that I played before, like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like when I was playing that again, like I was just loving every moment of it. And the same thing with with Elden Ring. Like going back, it felt at home, and I wanted to go back because it was, it's so great. And to be honest with you, I even consider like maybe I should just go back to Elden Ring and do
another run. Yeah.
Maybe a New Game Plus or something like. Yeah. Maybe this
it'll be faster the second time on a New Game Plus, because you're carrying over. I know everybody gets more difficult, but even in any of them that I've done that with, you're still carrying everything, your end level stuff, You're
still something. You're not coming in from nothing.
Exactly.
You already have your skill and your and your gear and
you can
what was
skip a
all
lot of
that.
stuff, right? You don't need
And
to. You
right.
don't need to go to certain like optional areas. You know, it's like I don't need to go there. I already got the
Mm,
optional thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So why bother going there? Yeah, yeah.
No, I have titles that I feel like I can't have I can't have this hole in my backlog. Like Final Fantasy 15 is one of those games, believe it or not, where I would like to finish that game. And it's not that I'm having super fun because I'm fucking not.
Then don't, bro. That's not
But
worth it.
but it can
It's not worth it.
but I don't want to miss on because then I feel bad.
No, I feel
I
bad for
feel
what? They made a game that did not hold your attention. Why are you feeling bad for that? Square, get your shit together. Final Fantasy 16 better be on point. You know what I mean?
do. It's looking really good.
It is looking really good. I'm not
It
gonna
is looking really good. Like this might be the Final Fantasy that turns you, that puts you back. No, but even going back to remember when I was playing the Persona games. You know, Persona 5 kind of disappointed me because it didn't give me the same vibe. But Persona 3 and 4, those were titles that I just could not wait to go back into, and I love every moment of every second of every minute. And you know, when I'm playing at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and it just if it's like the perfect zen time to be gaming because obviously nothing is, you know, there's no interruptions or anything from the outside. You just it's just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
uh and I want to have that, you know, those experiences, but then I'm not enjoying anything with and I could set everything up, dude. I literally setting up kind of like a spa situation in my office. Like at one point I bought freaking what's it called, the thing that gives um oh my god, the things that send us that have that scent that is like delicious, whatever they call it. It's not incense, it's
Candles?
something else, not candles. I tried candles no, and, you know, and diffuser, thank you.
Oh, diffuser.
And have my coffee and have the game, and I'm thinking like I'm just gonna have a good time. It's Friday night, you know, and I'm thinking then I'm gonna play until 5 in the morning, and then by 2 I'm like I'm bored. I don't want to continue. I'm already tired. I'm not having the feels that I thought I was gonna have, you know, with this game. So, but yeah, it'll come back. Like every now and then, there's a game that grabs me and
Yeah.
doesn't release me.
It always has its moments, and you're not gonna. I mean, no one is gonna have a banger after banger after banger. That's just
No.
you know.
Well,
if every game was a banger, then none of them actually are.
I feel like,
Yeah.
but you say, and that's true. That's true. But I feel like you get more enjoyments out of your titles. Like they're titles that you will play and you just go through them and you still have a good time, you know, on them. And like I want that, you know, like I almost envy that because it's I start playing something and it doesn't grab my interest, and then I just want to like whatever,
It's ruined. The moment is ruined.
Yeah, there goes like, you know, $25 or $12 or $60 if it's a $60 title. You know, usually when I feel like the more expensive it is, the harder I try to keep at it. It's just probably one of the reasons why
purchase. Yeah,
to justify the purchase. Exactly. That's what I'm holding on. Like I know I need to trudge through, you know, this game because I already spent this much. But anyway, enough about games. I guess I haven't really played anything else. I have been watching a couple of things. I think last week I mentioned that I saw Obi-Wan, right?
Yep.
And I spoke about how meh I kind of felt about it.
It was a whole lot of meh.
A whole lot of meh. Yeah. So this week I went on, like I wanted to I wanted to watch a thriller like a thriller mystery movie, but not just any thriller mystery movie. Like you recommended me one that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna miss that because I need to see what the fuck this is about, and I don't regret it because I had a really good time with it. And that movie was Candyman.
Oh yes,
2020 Candyman. Yes, yes. I should preface that and say that because my wife had made it very clear that I should have watched the original and that the original was a better movie.
Really? I find that the most fascinating statement I've heard in forever.
Really?
Yes.
Really, dude.
I mean, you saw. Well, I'm a fan of the original, and I watched the original just before, just after. I think I watched it after watching the
oh really
the 2021, yeah. And I think I told you. I think I mentioned it here in the podcast. Like it's I remember it and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything that was on it. But yeah, it didn't actually age very well. Because it is 30 fucking years old. I mean, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? The shit was made back in the day and whatever. But I really enjoyed I enjoyed the 2021 so much that it made me watch the original again. And then I even watched the 2021 again with my wife. And I even told her, I was like, honey, this is not, I said, this is not a gore fest horror movie. It's really, really well made. You know what I mean? And she watched it. She enjoyed it too. So.
No, she told me, oh, we should watch it again. And I'm like, I mean, we should watch the original one right after we watch the first one. I was like,
there you go, bro.
Really?
Just temper expectations, sir.
No, of course. By all means, by all means, I would. But I am curious because having watched this one, I could tell you that it was right on the money, like exactly the way you described it. As far as it's not that it's it's a mystery and it's and it's interesting, but it's not like gory or anything like that or anything crazy. But there are some gruesome murders on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that's not the main focus of it. It doesn't, or at least it doesn't feel like it. There is an underlying story that's actually kind of in your face, obviously, because the type of movie it is, and I really liked it. I like the message. I like the idea. I'm not gonna say anything about like the ending or anything like that, but needless to say, I did enjoy it.
Good.
I thought it was a really good movie, and I think that's what I'm gonna give it. It's a 3.5 on that one.
There you go. Yeah.
It was short. It was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, right on the money on an hour and a half too.
Right, exactly. It felt like it didn't overstay its welcome, and everything that was happening on the screen, nothing felt like filler. Yeah. I was pleased with that one. But then I wanted to watch another one of those, like, let's find out a reveal on it. And for some reason,
please tell me you didn't go back to The Happening or Old.
No.
You saw Old.
He guessed it, honey. He guessed it. He was like, don't tell me what's The Happening or Old. Please don't tell me you watch Old.
Oh my God!
Watch Old.
Will we ever learn? Damn you, M. Night Shyamalan!
Damn you, M. Night Shyamalan! And it's always, bro. It's hilarious, but also doesn't surprise me that you guessed it because we're very connected. So it's like you already knew. You already knew what I meant when I started saying like I wanted to know another mystery. Then you were like, "Oh fuck, shit! You saw Old, didn't you?"
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So the funny thing, so it was honestly, it was a process of elimination that happened very quickly in my mind. It was like you said something about a reveal, and okay, so he's gonna
So,
want something that has a
movies are
reveal.
revealed
Now,
in the
what
20s.
movies have a reveal that's recent, and how would he know that it would even come with a reveal? Oh, because he knew the director or knew whoever's involved. So then, it's just a process of elimination. I was like, okay, and he
Kind
wouldn't
of
rewatch
amazing.
it happening for the record. I was like, he's not going to rewatch that garbage, but he may watch the garbage part 2, which obviously you may go on, sir. I'm sorry.
You might as well be a character or the main character of a Night Owl sequel or something, because that was amazing deduction, Mr. Watson.
Oh my god, that's his
oh geez. So what can I say about Old? Well, this is actually
a reveal. We know that much.
Yeah, let's call what this movie is. It's a fucking comedy.
Oh my god! Okay.
I mean, it might as well be, because me and my wife was literally LOLing. Like the things that will happen. They were hysterical. Like the ridiculousness of this movie. You know, we can't talk plot or anything like that. It's a recent movie. It's a very cheap movie. Wow. And there was some really questionable acting on it. This movie is not great. It's not even good. I'm not gonna 1.0 it or anything like that, because obviously there was as tell me a story type of movies go. This one did that. I'm gonna give it at least
delivered a story.
It delivered a story.
It's the exact minimum that is required.
Yes, whether it's far-fetched or ridiculous or pointless or against ridiculous. I mean, whatever. There are movies that are terrible that they happen, and you say, and they told you a story, right? At the end of the day, you ended up knowing, like, okay, so I see why I see why this happened, but that was a really stupid thing. That was a really stupid way to get to it. This one, the problem is that it has that, and it's compounded by the not so great acting, mm-hmm. And I didn't feel it. I'm not gonna say I hated it, like it's the worst movie, because again, it did the job of keeping me entertained while I was at it. But if you were to ask me, hey, should I watch Old? I'm like, well, that depends. Is there really nothing else that you'd rather be watching right now? Like literally anything? Like
blink twice if you're being held against your will to watch this. Oh my goodness.
I'm not gonna 1.0 it, but I am gonna 2.0 it.
There you go.
This movie was really mediocre. Have you watched this, sir?
No.
You had no intention of watching it at all. Like your curiosity is like, hey, it's a.
I was curious when I saw the trailer,
right?
And that was about as far as the curiosity took me. I've heard some people say they enjoyed it, but the people who said this, I don't know their tastes, so I just kind of registered that as okay. Noted, you know what I mean? But I don't. Well, you guys don't know who I'm talking about, and they don't even know who if I'm talking about them. So, but it's just basically, it's just one of the things. Like if I don't know your taste and I don't know what it is you like or don't like, your opinion on something, I'm not saying it's invalid, but it weighs. There's no weight on it.
There's very little. Yeah. And even knowing the person fully well, like, the type of movies you enjoy, would you? I mean, I could tell you of a few that I'd be like, dude, no, seriously, fucking finally go and watch Pain and Gain. You need to.
Oh, I
It's
know.
ridiculous. And you will trust it probably, but there's some of them that I'm going to tell you, hey, dude, I watched this. And you're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm never going to watch that. That's not even my type of, that's not remotely my type of movie. Like, why would, you know?
Yeah. But no, this one is, I've heard some people say, and no one has said it was good or anything like that. But I think one day I took, I should probably fucking big it up. I think one day I took a look just out of curiosity what Rotten Tomatoes has it, and I was like, and it was M. Night, so I was like,
Yeah, M. Night,
it's 50%,
right?
It's 50%, exactly 50%,
just like M. Night. It's with his voice.
Yeah, exactly. You have half your people like it, and to be fair, what I call the debacle that was Glass, that left me like, I can't trust you. I cannot trust you because you occasionally come out with something special like Split, and what's the other one? Unbreakable. Unbreakable. Thank you. And and you have Unbreakable. You have The Sixth Sense. You have from there Split. I'm trying to think of anything else he did in between that was, and that's it. That's it. But that's not all the movies he's made. He's made several movies. You know what I mean? So it's like he's got like a 25 to 30% chance of delivering something good. So this one here, I was just like, yeah, exactly. So, but
the odds are not in your favor.
It's not. It's
not. I can't. I mean, I can't say it's not an unwatchable. It's not gonna be that experience. I actually, if you were to ask me, honestly, considering what I remember from Glass, I think I enjoyed this one more than I did Glass. But that, don't quote me on that because
I
might have been delirious
at all. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't a bar. It wasn't that high a bar that he needed to cross to get better on Glass. So
no. This one, I mean, you could tell there was. It's just a movie. It's worth. I'll say this: it's worth watching for the ridiculousness of the entire thing, because there are things that happen there that will have you like laughing because of just how it's just how stupid it is. And I'm telling you, bro, it is very stupid.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
I mean, although the happening, the trees are killing us, guys.
The trees.
That's the secret. Spoilers for a movie that you should never watch.
The happening is not happening. No, this one
2.0.
2.0. That's the other thing. It's, I mean, you see another, and this is not spoilers. You see on the trailer, it's a beach. The entirety of the movie is in that place. So obviously that.
One location.
One location, exactly. Yeah. There's not a lot of expenses. Let's say that were. So I don't know how well the movie did, but frankly, I could care less either.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That's the I was gonna say publisher, but another publisher. That's the movie company's fault for spending money on it.
Yeah.
For trusting M. Night again.
No, exactly. But if you want, by the same token, if you want a movie where, I'm not gonna say, oh, the reveal makes perfect sense, because fucking like it doesn't, but at least it's cohesive. It's not just like, oh, and then fucking aliens appear, or it was like, I don't know, like some movies try to be very artistic and leave you in nothing. No, this one will give you the explanation, and once you know the explanation, you'll be like, oh, okay, like you will accept it, but it still doesn't feel like anything particularly like special or really cool. Like, oh my god, Atlas is Fontaine. No, not gonna be
none of that shit.
Yeah. And that, sir, is not all I've been doing, because I also started watching a series.
Oh,
yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This series is Moon Knight. I started watching Moon Knight.
Oh, you did? Oh, that
it's your
is
fault.
hilarious. It is
Like I
my
say,
fault. Yeah,
it's your
yeah,
fault. Hey,
yeah.
hey, you said you make a comment, and that comment piques my interest, and then I'm like, I had no interest on watching this, but now I kind of have to because I need to understand what he meant when he said X, X, Y, and Z, Um,
Have you? So the
and
question you started, so you haven't finished it.
no, I have, yeah, exactly. I
Okay.
started. I haven't. I haven't finished. I am in episode 5, I think.
Oh, you're almost there. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a very long series, so.
Is not okay. I really fucking like it, dude. I, I,
It's different, right? It's
it's
different.
very it's very different. I didn't realize that it was starting Oscar Isaac on it.
Oh, and I think that may be its strongest point. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's surprisingly enough, like I was never like a big fan, like a big super fan of I haven't seen him in a lot of movies. The only movies that I've seen him is the fucking Poe Dameron in Star Wars, and
And Dune.
that left a bad taste. So I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
remember
that's
that.
true. Yeah.
So but seeing him here, it's kind of like clearing that image and making me realize like I really fucking enjoy his acting. Nothing, not and it's a little, it's like a smidgen going over the top of whatever he's trying to be, yeah, but without really crossing that line. Like when he's like when he is playing. I don't know how much I should say, about it.
Well,
As far
it's one.
actors
So
seem to have at least a couple of identities. Let's just
yeah,
say,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, and that's, believe it or not, I had to look up the character because I didn't know anything about the character, but I looked it up after we watched it. And so a lot of that stuff is already known,
That's a
and
trait of the comics. Okay.
yeah, it is a trait of the comics, and it's also what was I gonna say? It's also in the trailer, so
It's
it's
also in
not.
trailer.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, because you see him like portraying, like I said, at least a couple personalities, and one of them is it's very like like he's not passive in the sense of like he's pacifist. Yeah, I can say pacifist.
I would say so.
And the other one, yeah, because he's
Yeah,
it's more kind of like nerdy and kind of like into the archaeology aspect of it. That's another thing. I'm not a big fan of like
yeah,
archaeological
yeah, yeah.
anythings. Having not watched Indiana Jones for that reason alone, but like I don't mind it. I don't mind it here. There's enough action, and a very interesting story with a kind of like a cryptic character that
Mhm.
I'm really and really really enjoying his portrayal, and and has Ethan Hawke's playing
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
a villain. It's kind of like I realize he's kind of cool. It's kind of
yeah,
awesome
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I haven't seen him in a long time, and he kind of have aged a bit, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, that happens, unfortunately.
Yes, but yeah. So far, like I said, I haven't finished the series, but I let's hope. I almost hope, unlike some other series that I don't want to see, that I don't care to see continued, and now they're announcing that they're actually going to continue, even though that was not the original plan. So, Ben Kenobi. Uh, this one I kind of want to see it turn into something because it's like it has been a lot more enjoyable than at least the other series that I've seen from Disney Plus. I haven't seen Hawkeye yet. My
Oh,
wife has no interest in watching Hawkeye, but I keep telling her like, no, not to say it was a fun one. It's not. It's tempering expectations and whatnot. But I did tell her that I was interested on seeing Hawkeye, but and I haven't seen it. But like remembering the other ones that I've seen, at least in the Marvel universe. Um, you guys know that I liked um
WandaVision.
WandaVision, thank you. And I really didn't like the
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah,
Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was not a fan. And I don't remember the other one.
Loki.
Loki, yes, the most forgettable of the three because that was a bunch of. It was literally a bunch of nonsense.
It was, but I feel like it was going somewhere, and then it just shat the bed at the very last episode.
The last episode was terrible. Yeah. So bad. They did not know how to land that plane, bro.
Nope.
They just crashed it. You know what's funny is that my wife actually did enjoy Obi-Wan quite a bit.
Oh.
And it was still entertaining. I'm not saying it was bad or anything like that. It was still entertaining. I don't need them to try to shoehorn another, more story into this character. Like, I don't need that. I'm never gonna watch the Book of Boba, whatever that is.
Yeah, I was able to confirm from someone who's seen it that it doesn't connect to anything, so I might just skip it and give Obi-Wan a try. But I am so.
You should watch Obi. I'm interested in knowing at least your opinion.
I just
don't care.
I know.
I know. And I can tell you, I don't. There's nothing here that I think is gonna convince you otherwise.
So that's even more. And the funny thing, the only person who has had like something really good to say about it is Dark.
Right.
And for the record, I do try. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so sweet of you.
Oh, he got coffee now.
Oh no, I got some tea.
Oh. Huh?
You automatically reach out your hand
for the non-existent drink. Yeah.
He's on a hiatus. He's not drinking.
Yes, this is wonderful on air.
Sobering up. He's on step 3.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I never forgot what I was saying, but Dark was into it, and you gave obviously your opinion last week, and I was speaking with Chaos, and even he was like, yeah, there really isn't much here. This is maybe a few moments, but overall, it's a waste, and I was like. You guys are not moving the needle then. I was like, I have plenty of series and movies that I can move up in front of this. You know what I mean? So
it feels like an unnecessary story to tell. And at this point,
it is an unnecessary story to tell.
At this point, like Disney. I mean, I almost feel like, okay, you guys have to start diversifying a little bit, and they're kind of doing it in some of the stories and whatnot, like. The whole setting of Moonlight, I'm really, really enjoying.
I am too. And part of me just goes, I don't think they need to connect this to anything. You know what I mean?
Obviously they haven't mentioned the blip or they haven't mentioned like anything like that. It's like it's completely independent. It's like that's fine. Not everything needs to be as part of the cinematic universe. And I almost feel like Star Wars should be telling its own story. Some of the most entertaining things that have come out of Star Wars lately have been like. The Star Wars vision and the little things that are completely independent of the same characters again, regurgitating trying to shoehorn more lore into a character that doesn't really have space anymore to fit lore into because of the way that you have written them in movies and prequels and all that. So it's unneeded. On an Obi-Wan continuation is just like
why? I think Moon Knight does things smart. It doesn't mention things because it just assumes you already know what's going on. Right. I think it is in the timeline the most recent item. So it is post blip, but they don't mention the blip. But somebody may notice, keen observer, I guess what I was trying to say. Keen observer may notice a bus that passes by that has the advertisement for I can't remember what it's called, but it's that group of people who are helping those who came back from the blip, you know what I mean, and getting them back into their lives and all that. So it has it in the background, and you just go, oh, that's cool. That that kind of solves the mystery as to.
Where it is,
without having to say, "Oh man, do you remember the blip?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Thank you
Right?
for with one sentence, you've obviously pointed out where we at.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's Disney. Like at one point, like my app at one point, like wanted me to up my Disney app. I mean, it wanted me to update and to accept new terms because they were introducing mature movies or the more mature audiences. And I'm thinking like, yes, finally, we're gonna get some grittiness on the programming, or at least something more realistic and less fantastical and less like the cosmic shit. And I was hoping with the subject matter that Moon Knight was going there, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it's gonna be, or at least they're not like super into it. I still haven't. I mean, the last thing that I literally saw on it was a hippo. I'm not gonna say anything else. So it seems to be a little, it seems to be tame. That's what I'm trying to say. Instead of
It's
the
still Marvel,
mature
dude. I think
Marvel that you used to get when they were at ABC, the programming from ABC.
On Netflix, I think you mean, because
FX,
I think
right.
I think one of the reasons why you may have gotten that is because they've acquired those shows from Netflix, and Netflix was not pulling punches. You're gonna get Daredevil, you're gonna get Iron Fist, you're gonna get and you're gonna get the Punisher, and let me tell you, the Punisher does not fucking pull punches at all. Quite literally, he's the opposite of whatever the opposite of pulling punches is what he is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so since those are coming to the service, now that doesn't mean they're suddenly going to be fucking making these things. You know what I mean? Because in the end, it's about the lowest common denominator, and that is the kids. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's the only thing that has me like wondering, like, why am I spending $9.99 every month? And soon they're about to be increasing at some point. I feel like, what is it, $9.99?
No, dude, it should only be like $6.99. We pay $12.99, but that's only because we get the Hulu and the ESPN.
I remember. I think I'll pay $9.99 for Disney Plus. I think they actually went up already.
And they didn't even tell you. How about that, fuckers?
Or maybe you don't even know that they'll be charging you $9.99. I don't know, because you have the $12.99.
I have the $12.99, and plus that's my wife's bill, not mine.
There you go.
So if it went up on her, I'm sure she knows because she's pretty much on top of that shit. But she hasn't said anything, so whatever. You're still paying for it. So
Disney, now I have to find out. Let's see. Disney, just so that people are informed here. They charge $9.19 for Disney Plus, sir.
$9.19.
They charge me at least.
Okay. I'm like, what the hell is that?
$9.19. It has a weird price. Like, why $9.19? Maybe $6.99 plus tax. I don't know.
It says $8 a month when you look it up. Disney Plus costs $8 per month.
It's the tax.
It's a tax. Okay, all right. There you go.
Tax.
Fucking taxes. Damn.
Dude, YouTube is gonna start charging taxes on, like, if you're on YouTube. What's it called?
The premium, whatever the premium package.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is what it is. They're all charging it now. It's the only holdout. I'm surprised they held out this long.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done. I already expended my hour and a half, so it's your turn now.
Oh, well, I finished Moon Knight, and I stand by how I think I was saying it, and I really liked it. It's different. It's cool learning about a character who exists within the universe. It brushes the line of being silly, but really never actually is silly. Like it's one of those things. Like it'll use certain historical actual figures that you're just like, oh, I just didn't know anything about them. You know what I mean? They may seem silly in the world that this show made me, but it's like, no, this is what the Egyptians.
I don't know. That last episode that I saw kind of ended very silly, and I'm kind of curious to know where they go from there. But
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I thought it was well done. I think Oscar Isaac fucking nailed it. I think he's the reason why it's so freaking good.
He's freaking good.
He pulls off the the personality thing really, really well.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's the secret sauce there, is that you got to have the type of character you're writing and developing here, requires someone to really go all in when it comes to this, and I think he does.
He does really. I kind of wish the real actor was like, is Steven his name? The El Bobito? The
real actor. The real actor is Oscar Isaac, yeah.
Yeah, the real actor, Oscar Isaac. I wish his actual personality was actually the personality when he plays the pacifist guy.
Oh yeah,
I really like him.
I do too.
He's my favorite character.
Yeah, he is. That's the other thing, because he had, that's a character I have never seen Oscar Isaac, and I've seen him in many different movies.
Yeah, he usually plays a badass, badass role. Or kid,
and to see him do this, and do it well. He stumbles. He doesn't stumble upon his words, but I don't know. He's very witty as a British guy, even when he's in situations where he's nervous and afraid, and it still comes out hilarious to me. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah, and very legitimate. Very like he nails it. He actually nails it.
I think to the untrained ear, I'm sure people from British people are probably going, "Oh man, he ruined the pronunciation of that."
No,
to the untrained ear here, I think he's nailing it. You know what I mean? So that's just me. I don't know. I was like, oh, he's doing pretty well as far I always get frustrated when people do accents and they don't, like, look what happened to Wanda. If you remember correctly, when she was first introduced to MCU, she had quite the accent. You know what I mean? And she doesn't have it. Yeah, she doesn't have it anymore. It's gone.
What the hell? I never noticed that.
Because they phased that shit out. They're like, yeah, you're not doing well. Let's just little by little inch our way back here. I want to say it was the first time I started noticing it was gone was like Civil War. Was it Civil War? Yeah, Civil War. I think that was the first time I started noticing it was just kind of going away, and then that was it. It was gone. She got completely Americanized. So like, oh wow. Anyway, definitely one of the higher points of the MCU at Phase 4. I think at this point,
yes.
It doesn't say much for Phase 4, but I still think this is a high point for Phase 4, and I enjoyed it.
This is as an entry, as a new Marvel hero entry.
Yeah.
Where you were kind of like jaded already, like, oh, okay, whatever. And when you saw the costume at first, and you start, and you see without any context whatsoever, it was like, oh,
you're like, ooh, that looks, yeah. But then when you see the costume, you go, oh, so bandages, okay.
Once you get the context,
yeah, exactly. When you start seeing this, okay, I can get down with this,
Yeah,
and it looks good. It looks good.
It looks great, but it's that. He brings the character. Oscar Isaac brings that character.
He does.
I really agree.
So
the lady that plays with him, I don't know who her name is because I don't recall seeing her in other movies because I'm not a movie watcher. But I like her too. She does pretty well.
Layla, the one who plays his wife.
The one that plays, Layla.
Or I don't know, maybe ex-wife. Who knows? I haven't. I don't recall seeing her anywhere else either. Yeah, I don't think she's in it, but she does pretty well too. And I think there's an interesting chemistry between all of them, if you will. You know what I mean? I think I can't wait for you to finish it because I want to hear your thoughts on how it wraps it up. Yeah,
I can't wait. Yeah.
But anyway. So I finished watching that, and I watched a couple movies. My wife and I, she picked out this one. This was called Father of the Bride. There are many Father of the Bride. So let me be
I was going to say, like, I've heard this before.
This is the most recent Father of the Bride, which came out, I believe, this year, and it stars Andy Garcia as the titular Father of the Bride,
Okay.
Gloria Stefan as the Mother of the Bride, and all that.
Okay.
If you haven't seen any of the other ones, there was one with Steve Martin. I think he did like a few of them. Father of the Bride.
I was
1,
gonna
2, and
say
3.
yes.
Yeah. And then of course you have the original, maybe it's the original, the 1950 version, which I've never seen. But this movie has obviously been done many times. There was even one, I think, last year that was completely different. This one it centers around a much more Latino family. They're Cubans. The daughter comes in. She's Andy Garcia is, I think he mentions this at least 12, 15 times in the movie. I came to this country with just, the shoes on my feet, and and I was able to build us up to this whatever. Typical shit that you hear from our fathers, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's pretty, it's definitely not the best. I mean, it has moments that really are awesome, and moments that are touching, other ones that are a little on the nose, and other ones that are just cringeworthy. The wedding planner, she comes in and she's first off, she doesn't have a car. She does thing on Instagram, and it's like she's trying to get to sort of rub shoulders with the family. It goes, the Latinx and all, and of course, Kenny goes, what that? I don't know what a Latinx is. Secondly,
is that what he said? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And this movie gets at least a point
for that, right? For that,
just for that.
I died from
me.
I agree 100%. I am not fucking Latinx. Whoever wants to call themselves that, by all means, I am not Latinx.
I'm not.
But yeah,
that's hilarious.
But she mentions that, and then it's just little moments like that was like, okay, but that person's character, I think, was purposely made to be a little cringy, but at the same time, it was like, so I was like, oh,
cringy or coming out as annoying.
It's annoying, but also with those cringy moments when like they're going with the theme. Okay, well, what theme do you want to go with? Why don't we do this? Whatever. It's like that's how is that related to anything we do? We're Cuban. Those are from Spain. The dancers and all that. And then she goes to something else. And then she goes to her assistant and goes, all right, so remove the maracas and those. I was like, oh my god. And so because she's trying to plan the wedding for her and anything.
You're making a convincing case here for me to watch this thing.
I mean, it's on HBO Max, so you can watch it at any point. So if you have HBO, but I still enjoyed it. It has heart. It really centers around the father, which is normal. I just don't think. I think it's
Father of the Bride.
I know, but I remember seeing the Steve Martin one, and I feel like there was he was a main thing, but I feel like there was a lot more other family elements involved. And this really centers around him and how he has to come to terms with he's losing his little girl because she's going to get married. The family's Mexican, and that's a thing at some point. The kid is, he's not into the same things that he's into. So it's like, how do you not even like sports? I don't even understand how this works. It's just little things like that, which will make you laugh. And sometimes it's just, the jokes fall flat. But I think the reason I probably find a little bit more interesting is because of the, some of the Latino aspects of it. It's cool to see, these movies. I would prefer them just do a movie that you don't have to call it Father of the Bride. Just do something that's similar and call it something else. When you have, it's funny because I feel like when you call it Father of the Bride, now you've put unnecessary expectations and weight onto everybody in there. Oh, we're making the Latino Father of the Bride. Whoa, and it's like if you just made it a film about fathers who's dealing with it and call it something else, you can you can let go of some of that. The ending,
a lot of people will draw. It's like, what is the movie about? Well, have you seen Father of the Bride? Well, it's basically that, but with a Latino family.
Yeah, well, in there lies the issue, right? And there lies, it's like, okay, they had to use the title Father of the Bride because it needed that, because it doesn't, in the end, it's not as good as the as it's a good movie, but it's not. It's a solid 3.0, sir. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but it has its humorous moments, and Andy Garcia is awesome in it, obviously.
Yeah.
And Gloria Stefan, I mentioned, is in it. She doesn't sing anything, which is interesting, but you figure she would. But she plays the mom, and there's a whole big thing that goes on there. And I feel like the end wrapped up a little too much into this beautiful bow, you know what I mean? But I guess that's the type of movie it ends up
That's
being
the type of
anyway.
movie it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Always. Yeah.
so anyway, that's Father of the Bride. Last movie I just saw last night, and this was my choice, and I am so glad I saw this because it's called The Outfit, and it is a movie on right. I had to rent it, so it's not available. I mean, it's available for rent, but I had to pay to rent it. So it's not available on a streaming service without payment at the moment. And I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like the movie itself. So first off, it's not a very long movie. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. It is a movie that takes place in one location, which is it's those things can be good when you have strong actors and people kind of pulling their weight. And this has that. It is the general story is this. It takes place in 1950s Chicago. The main character is an older gentleman from London. He migrated from London, and he owns his own tailor shop. And he, this is in the trailer, so I can mention this. He allows his shop to be a drop point for the local mafia. And if you know it was 1915 Chicago, you kind of know what local mafia we're talking about. And then now even in the trailer, you notice it happens and they use it, but he never even looks up. He's just into his own thing. And he's so meticulous with how he does things. He narrates a good portion of it too, as well, which I always love. When you have the main character narrate a little bit of history, and he goes, my first suit that I made was this, and he's as he's doing his thing, and it just, I have an admiration for people who are excellent in a craft. You know what I mean? I love it. And it obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is always going to be those who cook, but also those who do other things. And someone who can take cloth of whatever and come out and make this wonderful suit that only fits you because it's made for you is amazing to me. That's beside the point. I'm just throwing that out there. The reason why I love this character. He's also like the ultimate gentleman. You know what I mean? The ultimate gentleman. Anyway, so Mafia uses his place, Dropbox. And then one day the shit hits the fan. And I won't say anything else from there because to say anything else will really spoil it. But everything everything takes place in the one location, and it is really, really well done. I was like engaged the whole way because this is what I love about Quentin Tarantino is he understands that you're going to have moments of just two characters or a couple characters in a room sitting and talking. How do you make that amazing? You make it amazing with the dialogue, with what you say, how you say it, and how it's delivered. So that's what makes his movies excellent. On top of that, it can get wacky with crazy blood and all that. But those other moments are not wasted, and you're not looking forward to the next blood or crazy scene because you're like, no, this is that character moment.
This is just as engaging.
And, yeah, exactly. And so
this is a Tarantino movie?
This is not. No, I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying that the writing is strong like that, and it keeps you engaged just in the conversations that are happening. And again, it's not a long movie, but I absolutely adored this movie. Dude. I thought it was just a great little mystery film. You know what I mean? It's just like this, and it was I mean, you can see. I don't want you to see the trailer. If you do want to watch this, I don't want you to see a trailer. I'd rather you not. I feel like it just better to just go in, as blind as possible.
Just go in, honestly. Anything about it is like
yeah, sure.
Shouldn't be watching a lot of trailers because what are trailers if not pieces of the movie already there? Yeah. And what are the pieces? they're usually the best pieces of the movie, the ones that are meant to call the attention. So
yeah. But yeah. So that's the outfit. And
good.
the Mark Rylance is the character. I want to say that he won the Academy Award for this or something, but it may have been this. I feel like this was what he got nominated for. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is, it's a good movie, and I am so glad that I crossed it off my list because just recently came out as well. So anyway, from there, guys, as far as what I've been playing, I'm going to touch real quick on my PlayStation Plus stuff. It's not stuff. It's just one item. I wanted to test out the streaming because unfortunately, any PS3 title is there, but it is stream only. So I was like, okay, well, let me test it out and see, how does this run and how quickly can I just jump into it? And dude, I can jump into it pretty quickly and it runs pretty well. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is all right. Of course, I tested it out on a game. I picked a game that I was going to have like no interest in because I didn't want to derail what I'm playing. So I was like, let me just pick something that I know.
Just literally play. Yeah, I love the fact that you were afraid that you were going to get that you're going to get engrossed on it. So you probably picked like, I don't know, Pac-Man.
Oh, no. See, that would be dangerous. I picked something that I had a feeling I was not going to like. And that was Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z.
Oh, Jesus.
And
you really wanted to make sure that whatever it is, you're not going to get stuck playing it.
Yep. And that was a successful choice.
That's an insurance policy right there.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to test how it ran. And I only played for maybe 40 minutes or something like that. And first off, God, that game is not good.
I say 40 minutes on it. You better be running some benchmarks on it because I can't imagine that game holding your interest for more than 10.
It was, I think I was just kind of, I was just really testing out, how quickly it responded to, because this is a streaming game and I was playing it during peak hours, if you will. And I just wanted to see, I wonder if it'll run into some issues and stuff like that. And never ran into anything. And it really puts you in the game really quick. What I don't like of the service is I've downloaded some games already from the service that are PlayStation 4 and or PlayStation 2 just because there was a couple and I was like, I don't think I ever got to that one. And I always kind of had it in the back of my head, and I probably won't stick with it very long, but just it's part of the service. Why wouldn't I give it a shot? The issue is even though it's downloaded, when I come to flag that, like I come to look at it on the fucking PlayStation 5 OS, the what is that called? Dear Lord, the main screen when you have it there.
The dashboard, the media bar.
The dashboard, thank you, the media bar, yeah.
Does it present you like the media bar, like the or you just jump into the game?
No. It'll be when it's downloaded, it will be up on the media bar, like all the other games. Okay. But when you first get to it, it has an option to stream, and it's the first option, or it's like the default highlighted one. And I hit it by mistake. I was like, wait. And I'm like, wait, didn't I download this? And I started getting worried. I was like, wait a minute. Are all these fucking streaming? Is it because I could have swore they were fucking, these were PlayStation 4 that would be downloadable. And then I checked and I did download it. But the option to stream is still there. And I'm like, what? It's already in the system. Why are you giving me this option and making it the first one?
You know what I mean? Weird, yeah.
It's so strange. Yeah, and then once it starts loading, it's like I have no choice but to wait for it to because there's like no interrupting it at that point. It's like we're accessing those servers. You have to wait.
You have to wait. Fucking hell. They seem to always have a problem with like identifying, like letting you identify. Like remember when the problem was?
Man. It's the little things.
You could be accessing the PlayStation 4 version of a game instead of the PlayStation 5 version.
It's like, why would it not default to what it just doesn't make sense. And this, again, this is easily a nitpick. Clearly. And the other thing is, why doesn't it recognize that I have it downloaded? And say, why, just not have the option or just go, hey, are you sure you want to stream? Because you have this download. You know what I mean? Something to stop the process from going that way. And it doesn't. And I can only assume maybe they'll get addressed. But at this point, I don't trust Sony to do that. But anyway, Yaiba was garbage. But the streaming does work pretty well.
Yeah, 'cause I would imagine that. I mean, Yaiba being a game that requires at least some level of, like, you can't play that with a crappy laggy system, because it requires you some
Yeah, yeah.
fast maneuvering, right?
But it does require fast maneuvering, but this isn't like the old Ninja Gaiden. The old Ninja Gaiden was brutal. This was not good, bro. I don't know. I don't think you've played Jaiba, but it's
No,
just
I know.
this is like some entry level action level game where it's like Ghost Rider, for the PlayStation 3, or fucking what's the one, the seventh level of hell? What the fuck was that shit called? It was like it was a God of War wannabe, but it wasn't God of War. It was
the one that, yes.
what was it called?
Shit, what the hell was that called? From EA.
Yeah,
and
I
people
guess
know
it is,
exactly which one they're talking about. They're screaming in, and we can't hear
it
you.
doesn't matter because it was just
Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno. Thank you. That was the one. And so that type of thing, where it's like this is more of a hack and slasher than it is. Not that Ninja Gaiden wasn't a hack and slasher, but there was a little more strategy involved and brutal difficulty that I just didn't see here. This they just made it. Hey, let's make a fun game for it. It's like, then you call it something else because that's not Ninja Gaiden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more like a brawlerish type of.
And it's not even well. It's not even well made either. So, anyway, enough about Yaiba. I am knee deep into Death's Gambit Afterlife. Pretty sure I'm more than halfway through. Probably, if I had to guess, it doesn't give me percentages, which is another complaint that I have. I learned recently what the difference was between regular Death's Gambit and Afterlife. I think right now you can only get Afterlife because it's just an updated version of it. The original didn't have a fucking map, and I can tell you as someone right now, it's like, how the fuck did anyone play this shit without a map? Because goddamn, this thing is it's expansive. You know what I mean? And I was like, why?
Tell us a little bit about it then. Like, what type of game is the Gambit?
Oh, I thought I mentioned last week, but yeah, it's
refresh my memory.
It's a side-scrolling, basically Metroidvania game, but it does have some Souls elements. Very light Souls. It's really more of a Metroidvania, but it has a lot, big bosses, and they become challenging. I think last week I was mentioning, it's like, oh, this is fairly easy. I was like a few hours in and hadn't even died yet until I got to one of the major bosses. Like, oh, here's the difficulty I was looking for. And so, yeah, it definitely gets, but it's also fun. And the cool thing is you're not losing this is unlike Dark Souls. You're not losing everything when you die. You still gain that. And not to mention, if you gain stuff on a boss, like let's say you fight him the first time, and let's say you take a third of his health off and you die. Before you reload again, it'll bring up the bar, calculate how much souls or whatever it is that you collect from that third, and give it to you, and you actually you get that as you respawn. And as you knock away more, it starts doing it. If you die again, and let's say you die and you only took off an eighth, well, you get nothing now, because now you're almost setting the bar each time. But it also helps you realize, oh, I'm progressing, right? So I died 5 times, but each time I'm moving a little bit closer to getting him down. And so that's really what it is. There's some abilities that you get. The ground pound, the dash. There's obviously parries. There's a lot of different moves, and so I went with one that's carries a scythe, which I actually prefer. That you get a lot of weapons to start off with, and obviously you can switch along the way as you want to as well. But depending on the character you start with, you're kind of leaning into certain things. With the scythe is going to be finesse, which is this game's version of Dex. So I have that. I have what's the other thing? Oh, the spear is the other. So I have 2 weapons that I can use at any time. And anyway, you're unlocking different power-ups and different special moves. And as you can also buy or learn some from certain characters. It's also voice acted. The Afterlife has voice acting that the original did not. So that's another bonus that came with the
Okay.
Afterlife version. Which the weird thing is the
How
main
old was this
character.
game?
I don't think it's that old. Let me see.
I mean, it came out originally, at least.
Release.
Yeah.
Afterlife was released in September of 2021. So the other one would have been maybe a year or two before that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's not old, but it is really good, well made. I love pixel art. I'm always a fan of pixel art, especially when it's well done. You can just see that they really put in the work to make this world look cool, and I think they nailed that here. Yeah, so I'm still playing that. Haven't finished it yet, but it'll probably be finished by the next time we come around. And the game itself is also longer, so I think the average time to complete was about 9 to 10 hours on the original Death's Gambit, and this one has moved up to 15 because of new areas and new bosses. So again, I think if you were to buy the game now, it only exists in Afterlife form. But either way. And the last thing that I'm going to bring up is I haven't played it particularly, but I've been watching somebody play it. And that, of course, is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. And the person playing this has been my wife, who's
your wife been playing it.
She sure has. Yeah, she sure has. So the reason for this, because she had asked me as we were playing the other one, she was like, is there a game or something I can practice on to start getting better with the camera? And I was like, okay, well, I started just thinking as what can I get that's not going to frustrate and really just make it easy for you to just navigate through. And this one came up and I said, oh, bought it. And then the other day she just started playing it. And so at first she didn't really know what was going on. And if you play the Stanley Parable, you kind of you should know.
You don't know what's going on actually, so don't worry.
Exactly.
Me neither.
Yeah. Oh, but you said you played this. I was like, yes, I played it years ago, and I didn't know what was happening then either. And so
that's the whole point of the game, honey.
Exactly.
You don't know what's going on. You kind of have to. Evidently, there is something, because everywhere I see this game rated, it's always rated as overwhelmingly positive. And I don't know if it's are you guys being sarcastic here, or is this really delivering somewhere? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I played through it, and there has been some stuff that has been hilarious, but at the same time, they kind of also being inside jokes. I don't know how those are going to land. With your wife not being a gamer.
There was one.
There's a lot of references.
Yeah, there was one that happened that referenced so there isn't even a story. There's the narrator obviously talking. There isn't even a story here. So the developers just wasted our time. They're just trying to get a whatever. And I heard her chuckle at that. So I was like, oh, okay, good. And she has chuckled at stuff. And then of course she also gets frustrated with him because he's like, que cabrón este narrator. She said the other day, and I was like, and again, I'm not even there. I'm over here working. I'm just hearing her playing, and so then I've gone out there.
I know. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I have gone out there and sat and watched her play. The first day she started playing, at some point, I had to start looking away because she's developing her skill with the camera. And for someone who doesn't have the skill for that, she's going up steps and she's moving the stick to move up the steps, but the camera is not circling around the steps as it should go. It's staring at the wall, and then she's moving, and because she doesn't do both sticks at the same time, she does one, then switches the other. I was like, and that, my friend, watching enough of that will turn your stomach.
Oh yes, yes, it will.
So I started just looking away. I was like,
I thought you were looking away in disgust.
No. I was like, no. I was like, I got to. I was like, you're okay, honey. You're okay. I said, all right, well, all right. And then she has a question. So I'm like, all right. So wait, look up. No, look up. No, look up to your right. No, you're on the right. That's what's happening most of the time. And then the funny thing is, I didn't notice. She goes, I'm feeling nauseous, and I'm like. And honey, okay. I said, do you want to stop? We can stop it, because I knew at that point I was like, ooh, this is probably messing with her too. Dude, bendito. She had to lay down. She had, at some point we paused the game and suspended it and just turned it off, and she had to lay down. And she was it turned her.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
this game kind of does that. I think I might have mentioned it also, that it even does it to me.
Well, it's definitely it's to me. I've always said, and I told her I was like, with a first person camera, you're almost forced to look at, I told her it'll take a while for you to sort of develop, to look to where you, or turn to, how do I say this, turn the camera to where you want to look. That's what's going to take a while to happen. And in the meantime, it's, and so I was like, I was a little like, oh, well, she's probably not going to want to play that again. And then the next day she's like, no, but I want to know what's going on. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And yesterday I started noticing that she's kind of getting better at it. She's going down the hallways a little easier. She's sort of moving the camera, just like almost like tapping it as she's walking. Tapping in the direction she needs to go. And dude, I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's and she didn't feel sick yesterday because I think she was going a little slower, just so because she was just whipping it at some point the other day, and I was just, that's why I had to look away. I said, okay,
yeah, that game that has bad acceleration also, which is kind of
But anyway, it's just cool to see that that she's enjoyed it, and she's already gotten into a lot of the stuff that I guess is part of the new thing, because there's I guess slight spoilers here for the game, but at some point, as you're constantly coming out of your office, there's a door to the right that says new content. You're like, and then of course an error. Did you see the door that says new content? What is that about? And then of course you go into there, and now it has all this other stuff that is like even more random. And I was like, oh my god!
Did you at least peek a little bit of it though?
I did. I was, like I said, I mean, I think the first time I was with her the whole time, but I was also cooking, so I was just kind of going back and forth. That's when I sent you the picture, because I was like through the little window area of my kitchen, and then And then last night, I was still working, so I had to finish working. But then I sat out there with her, and then we ended up watching the outfit at that point. But she was out there for maybe a couple of hours, and she didn't really get nauseous or anything like that. But I was also watching her and going, oh, she's starting to develop. I can see her pointing the camera that where she needs to as she's walking.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting there.
That's awesome.
And so I don't know if I'm thinking of another one that she can probably do that's something like that. Maybe not as I
mean, you have so many good walking simulators that tell a very
story. Yeah, I was thinking of like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Yeah.
That have actual story as opposed to the Stanley Parable that's really more of a parody of a story.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell it is. Fractions 3.
Honestly, and she goes, what? Where are the people? I need to find out what happened to the people. I was like, honey, I think we need to come to terms. We may never find out. You know what I mean? We may never know. And then you've played it, so but it's so funny when he goes, you know what? We're just starting this over. And then you start right back at the thing. You're like, it's this fucking guy. Why does he keep doing this?
Yeah, he doesn't like.
He doesn't like. Remember the line on the floor where it goes, "This is the Stanley Parable story path."
Yes.
Oh my god, dude!
The narrator
is
probably one of the. I mean, it's the best feature of that game.
Oh, absolutely. Game. This is up there with Portal and then.
I was just gonna say with fucking GLaDOS, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's it's how many, the way you can branch and the craziness that it throws. It throws into like.
Mm-hmm.
Like the trophy room that had the game of the years that had come out.
Oh,
and it was Last of Us 2. But I showed it to you, so I already spoiled that. And he had like he had written on top of it like this Stanley Parable.
That one, and there was the thing, the bucket of. Oh my god, the bucket of something that she had to carry around. And I'll come out, I'm like, are you carrying a bucket? She goes, yeah, he told me to carry the bucket somewhere. Just, what the fuck is going on in this stupid game? Anyway.
The first time you kind of do, I mean, didn't she? I'm curious, what I was going to ask you at the beginning was like, I'm curious did she do the story as he wants to say it? Like the first time? Or did he?
The first time, yes. She even got the trophy for beating the game in like 7 minutes or something. I was like, what the fuck? And she's like, that's it? I won?
That's
I
all
was
I
like,
give you B.
yeah, I know. I was like, well, you followed the directions. So
That's the story that he wanted to give you. It was not a very great one. So that's when you start playing it again and fucking things up.
Yeah.
He took the left door.
Yeah.
You take
No,
the right.
the other one where you're now above that room where the two doors, and he's just looking down, and he's like, please, Stanley, please, for the love of God, take the left door. And Stanley's just standing there. He's not moving at all. It's like, please, I just need you to go to the left door. Oh my God, that game is hilarious, man.
The game is great, bro.
It's a, I don't know. It's difficult to explain. It's a
great game because you can actually it's so out there that she could start playing it. You could pick it up at some point and have your fun with it. She can grab, because I don't feel like there's any. Oh, I don't know if there's a progression or something like that, because the game doesn't give you any of that.
Yeah, no clue.
But it doesn't seem to be something that you have to, that you can miss, or maybe you can.
Early on, she goes into a room where it goes, and Stanley notices a keypad, and has no idea that the code is 2546.
Yes.
And so, because my wife is still kind of figuring out the camera, she's little by little and he's still there. And then she was taking so long to do whatever. You know what? Never mind. He entered the 2546. It was like, oh my God, that was hysterical.
He accidentally.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. But anyway, great. That, ladies and gentlemen, is all that we have been doing. And we are back, guys, and it is now time for some of the useless news that you can use. We are, of course.
I didn't know where to use this. I was like, trailer of the week, news, topic. Like, you gotta prep me before you start. Going.
Apologies, sir. Apologies. I thought I gave you the inside track as to what we were heading into, but
I got lost somewhere.
I was like, wait, is there a trailer? Wait a minute. No, there's no trailer, because there's trailers this week, but nothing of any consequence. No. And lots of trailer 2. Yeah, exactly. Lots of trailer 2 and 3s of movies we already know are coming, and that's unimportant. But anyway, useless news. Really, there's not a lot going on. So the only pieces we have are the free games that are coming to the services that you may be into. Specifically the games with gold, and of course the PlayStation Plus Essential package now. Starting with games with gold, just to really question if anybody, and by anybody, it's just you, sir, so I need to ask you if you've heard of any of these. But the first game is called Beast of Maravilla Island, which will be available from July 1st through the 31st. And the second is Relicta, which will be available from July 16th through August 15th. And then, of course, you have your 360 titles, and that is, first one is Thrillville Off the Rails, which will be available from the 1st to the 15th of July. And then finally, Torchlight, which will be available from the 16th of July till July 31st.
Torchlight is a decent Diablo clone.
Torchlight, okay, so we got one.
Yeah. Torchlight is good. I mean, Torchlight is also an old-ass game by now, and not necessarily one that I'll be like jumping for joy the fact that finally it is released. No, you probably, like, if you care for it, you would have played it by now. But if you haven't, then sure, why not? They're literally worst out there, like Diablo Immortal. So at least you'll be playing a pure, what you kind of wish a pure Diablo game would have been like, or a good one of those. I forget what the actual genre is called. ARPG, I think.
Oh, I thought
action
they were just
RPG,
dungeon crawlers. Okay,
dungeon crawlers. Yeah, something along those
something
lines.
like that. Something like that, guys.
Yeah.
So yeah.
However, the Beast of Maravilla Island,
Mm-hmm.
uh, evidently, decent reviews. Nothing.
Okay.
It looks. Uh, it looks. What's the word? It like whimsy.
Oh,
You know.
whimsical.
Yeah, and like at first I was looking at, man, this kind of looks like Zelda Breath of the Wild. In art style, I mean, not really in like the scope, because I don't honestly. The only thing I know is that it is a 3D adventure game, and yeah, not sure.
I
That is
decided
my
to look
type
up
either.
Relicta because the cover art really caught my eye, and I'm not really sure what it is. It is a first person game, but almost like puzzler. Maybe like a little bit of Portal. Maybe there's
Or what was
boxes.
that?
Um,
I was gonna say the what was that game that was high? That was it was a puzzle game that was like it was like hot shit for
what,
a
The
quick
Witness?
second. The Witness, yes.
I was thinking of the Talos Principle. That's what I was.
Oh,
This one kind of looks more like that, but a little bit more futuristic. Came out August 4th, 2020, so it's much more recent. But
okay.
and it looks like it is a what do you call it? My God, exclusive to Xbox. But anyway, those are the 4 games coming to Games with Gold. PlayStation Camp are receiving 3 additional titles that will come to the PlayStation Essential service. First and foremost, you have Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. This, of course, is the sequel to all the Crash Bandicoots. Then you have the Dark Pictures Anthology, the very first chapter called Man of Medan. I actually already own this. And it's actually it's fun, but I only paid like $5 for it. So, but it's free now if you're interested in it. It's got it has an interesting what do you call it? Ways of playing it, right? You can it's basically like Until Dawn and stuff like that, but you can actually play with multiple people. You can split screen it and stuff like that. So it's actually a lot of fun. And the last one is called Arcadegeddon, which I have never heard of. Don't know anything about it. I know publisher and developer Ophonic is all I have. Don't know. Have you heard of this one?
No, and no.
It is a PlayStation 5 title, so there's that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but
hopefully it's good, because I mean, Crash Bandicoot, like, I mean, I realized there's the fans out there for it, and the fact that game is out there is the only thing that prevented me from actually making the joke of like, oh, so now that Sony has its own Game Pass, that they have no reason to offer good games on the PSN platform, I see. But they actually offer Crash Bandicoot, which I understand. It's like I said, it has its fans.
It does have fans. I actually own the Insane Trilogy and couldn't get past playing the first one because, god damn, that thing is a pain in the ass.
You realize
that is a serious platform.
Yeah,
and on top of that, it is a game of its time. So I honestly am. I mean, obviously, I'll tag it because I tend to tag any of them anyway. Arcadegeddon looks to be like a battle royale almost.
So you lost me then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh no, this is definitely not for me either, and it's very strange looking characters. So, no, nothing I see here do I like, and that's a big hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, those are the free games. I did have one tiny piece I wanted to bring up because I found it hilarious, and I think I did share this with you. This is I'm reading this off of PCGamer.com. First spotted by some colleagues at Games Radar, a Diablo Immortal player with the Reddit handle Daemyun has successfully parlayed a collection of old promotional World of Warcraft loot cards into 600 million gold. which they then used to purchase approximately $50,000 worth of Diablo Immortal rewards through a unified Blizzard ecosystem. The spree enabled Damien to create a nigh unstoppable necromancer that he claims has embarrassed at least one heavy spending Diablo streamer in the game's PvP. Way to go, sir! Way to go.
That's amazing. So for you guys to understand what's going on here, so
Yes,
this guy apparently has some collectible World of Warcraft cards from back in the era, where I don't know exactly how, but he was able to exchange it for its current value, because I guess they're collecting dust, doing nothing right now. But his collection, it was sizable enough to be able to convert to how much you say? 6 million gold?
600 million gold.
600 million gold.
In-game gold.
In-game gold, right. Which in Blizzard has this this economy, let's call it, where you could actually convert digital money from one game into another of its type. So he was able to somehow convert 600 million gold into the equivalent of like 50,000 Diablo coins, whatever the hell is it?
$50,000. Well, 50,000 like real, like what would have cost you 50,000 real dollars in Immortal.
You don't get it in cash, but you get it.
Yeah,
you get it in in-game credit, basically, for Diablo Immortal. And some might argue, well, isn't he another whale? For whale being the moniker that gets given to the people that have more money than Marines. Or they have a lot of money to spend on this in-game items, which is obviously what what this companies always try to get. The big spenders.
Yeah.
And basically, he was able to get enough money to make a very kick-ass necromancer build that destroy
someone else who paid actual money.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's sort of like our hero story, but it also goes to show that
economy's the whole thing in fucking Diablo Immortal is broken.
It's broken. Diablo Immortal is such a bad precedent when it comes to gaming monetization. It is so bad that you are really doing a disservice to the entire industry to go and play this game. Like, if you don't pay, you will not be competitive, because that's what the game wants you to be. And even when you don't spend a dime, you're still promoting the game by the user base numbers. So don't even bother, guys. There's so many freaking better alternatives out there for this type of games, to play, that are completely free. Even Path of Exile being a phenomenal alternative, because that game,
and that one's free, isn't it?
It's another one of those that you wonder, like, how the hell is it free and how the hell does it make money? Well, because they have a decent and fair monetization that is cosmetic only, and it's not predatory and trying to get people to get addicted to spend money and more money on like bullshit tchotchkes that are not gonna be worth shit. I don't care how much of a Diablo fan you are. You should definitely avoid this one. And it's okay to be like, hey, if Diablo 4 is around the corner. Let's see how that goes. Let's not jump on it or anything like that because there's no reason to. But let's at this point, you can't even trust that.
No,
you can't even trust that because of just the blatant way that Diablo Immortal has come out, and I have no doubt that it's always going to be. They obviously did the extreme case of, well, let's do something very horrible, and then when we get the backlash, then we can say, well, we heard you guys, we heard the community, so we're going to tone it down. But the toning down is toning it down to the actual levels that they expected it to be, where the monetization is still kind of horseshit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, don't do it.
I agree 100%. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of our news segment here. So it's now time for us to move into our hot topic of the week.
Hot topic!
Hot topic again, guys, is open world games again, but more about the elements that make good open world games. Yes. And obviously, this shouldn't come as a surprise as two people who absolutely love the game. We're definitely going to be talking Elden Ring here because I feel like they have, I don't want to say reinvented, but they definitely introduced a really different way of looking at open world games overall. And so,
a very good example, not the only example, but it's a very good example.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's others that are coming in the future that we can keep our eyes peeled for.
Yes.
That might be interesting, to check.
But let's go ahead and get into, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So, what? Because I know this is particularly stemming off your current experiences with Horizon Forbidden West. So my question to you is, what is the main element that really is grinding your gears, if you will?
Grinding my gears. That's a good way of saying it because that's one of the elements, right? When you're grinding for stuff, you're not necessarily having fun unless you enjoy the grind. And we have friends that do enjoy that type of gameplay element. I'd rather not play stuff that is repetitive for the sake of just, redoing it and doing it and doing it again and trying to farm for something because that doesn't speak fun to me. That feels like work.
Yeah.
Well, what I notice is open world. It's kind of an open genre, so to say, in the sense that there's a lot of games that we could catalog as open world nowadays that we used to wonder, like, shouldn't that be considered a role playing game? And an open world game could be a role playing game. It's there's no doubt on that. And I don't want to get into the argument of, well, is it open world or is it overworld? It's now I feel like that has gotten homogenized enough to where they're one and the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of it's kind of the same. But the open world, games, you could have different genres. Also, you can have very action oriented ones, like the samurai one, Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost of Tsushima, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn. Or you could have like the RPG element ones, like freaking Zelda Breath of the Wild. The coming Starfield. I was gonna call it Seinfeld. Starfield. What is the deal with Bethesda? No. And hold on, let me plug myself back in because I can't hear myself. Here we go. All right. And then you have your the ones that a lot of people call GTA clones, like Saints Row.
Oh, Sandbox. I always put those together with Sandbox. That just feels like you have a million things you can do in there, and a lot of it includes stuff that is silly, like games you can
Right.
play, or you can go into an arcade. Actually, Yakuza has some of that there, even though that I don't wouldn't consider
That's
that
true.
open world, but
Yeah.
but
It kind of is in a sense. Well, I guess
open
open city
town,
more than
yeah,
open
yeah,
town.
exactly.
Yeah. That's a good way. Yeah. Open
Hmm.
town. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the what I'm noticing is that throughout all these different genres that has this element of open worldness, um, you can make a world that like it all resorts around explore the exploration of the world, and that's what makes it interesting to be in. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, if it wasn't interesting, then you might as well just remove it out and just have us select stages Mega Man style,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
or
Might as
just
well make it linear. Yeah.
yeah, just take us directly from point to point. Like and there's some phenomenal games that do that. Nowadays, hey, a Last of Us game will take you from point A to point B, kind of like in a direct path. It's not trying to have you exploring, giving you that sense of freedom because it doesn't need it because it doesn't need to do that because it's not that type of game. It's not the type of game it's trying to be. So open world games are always gonna try to give you the freedom of exploration, make you feel like you can go anywhere and do anything for the
Hmm.
most part. And there are ways that you can make that fun, and ways where I feel like a lot of companies are choosing a particular formula that worked for one type of game one time when it came out. But now a lot of people are trying to do the same thing, and it's getting a little stale. That happened with the sandbox games, like you were describing.
Yeah. That's the reason
GTA,
why. Yeah, it was the
video
reason why I was
game
so
clones.
not into them. Hmm.
Right. Excuse me. The the more you focus on this type of formula, well, then it gets it gets boring because you have done it before. The thing that I'm noticing is that this formula tends to have the following ingredients. It tends to be a big as world
Hmm.
that is very plain in the sense of there's not a lot of verticality. There's not a lot of places to go into. Like it
Hmm.
might give you the impression that you're going into a city, maybe, but in the design itself, it's not. You don't really feel like you are going into different areas of the world. It just feels like you're still on the same place. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll give you an example.
Oh, you was going to say,
The
yeah.
at
Example
the
works.
let me give an example of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has towns.
Hmm.
Usually, when you go into those towns, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're going inside a very crafted city. I mean, it gives a good enough impression of a lived-in city, but it's not like super expansive. It doesn't look like it doesn't have the intricacies of having like indoor areas and outdoor areas that you can explore, and you know catacombs or caverns or apartments if it was on a modern setting, or buildings in a modern setting where you can go in and out. Is Everything is very on the same gameplay plane as the world outside,
Hmm.
and that's good in the sense that you get no loading times,
True.
but it's also bad in the sense that feels it feels samey. It doesn't feel like you're really exploring,
Yeah.
because of how simplistic the world is. Whereas, and I'm sorry that I have to use this example so early, um, because I'm sure there are other games that we could probably think of that feel similarly. But a game like Elden Ring is an open world game. In this open in its open worldness, it does have towns, or in this, or maybe forts and castles and areas like that you can go into, and those areas themselves are vast, are large,
distinct from each other.
are
Yeah.
distinct. They exactly. There's a distinction on every whether as it doesn't look like just a collection of the same assets just put together differently, like building blocks, like you get in other games. I almost feel like Witcher did it's The Witcher 3 specifically. Is kind of in between, because the cities in Witcher 3, they feel like expansive cities that are lived in, and you can, a lot of times you could go into some of the buildings and stuff like that. Certainly can't do in all of them, but there are areas that it looks a little bit more realistic, that
and you can get lost
just
in
a
it.
village. You can get lost in. Oh yeah,
you can get
what's that city at the main city on The Witcher 3?
There was one called Oxnard or Oxford or something like that, and then
Yeah.
The main one, I forgot the name, but the main one is like, it's a big city.
It's a hub that is a huge city. You could easily get lost into. Yeah. And then you go out
Another
of
example,
it. No loading time.
Yeah. There's no loading time. Another example is, I don't think you've played this one, but Red Dead Redemption 2. That's another one where you go into, now you can go into the, like, a little town, and the town looks like your standard little Western town. And then you have this other side of whatever, where you have this sprawling city, people walking, horse carriages going. Looks very different from the and then you have the plantations, and it's that is definitely something. When you go back to the old or original, I should say, open worlds, a lot of the cities had the sameness.
It's a village where it has people standing around, but they're not really doing anything in particular. Just like kind of like chiming, moving from one area to the next, kind of like wandering. Like, you're not selling it, or the person is standing there in one position. They might say something as you're walking, by them, but it's not really interacting with you in any way. Believe it or not, even with this very crappy engine, Bethesda games has that are like that. Skyrim is an example of a game where
I haven't played Skyrim, but I can definitely say that Fallout 4 had some locales that had some differences, but I think internal wise, there was a lot of repetition in the internal design and stuff like that. So
it's kind of like one of those in the middle.
It's
like, not fully committed.
Correct. Right. Which is what a concern is right now with Starfield. Thank you. Because if they're kind of doing the same thing, then it's like, we've passed that. And I think Fallout 4, or I should say The Witcher 3, really showed how that kind of stepped up the bar on the city designs and NPC interactions more than I think that it even in some ways, because I think I'm not trying to remember when Fallout came out, if it was before or after, but it was around the same time, and it just in essence threw it into their face like, whoa, this is how you should be designing your cities. And on a separate note, your quests, it's not like, I remember Fallout 4 having these meaningless quests, and the point of it, you can almost see that the point of it, because they would point to this random home in this area here, and the point of it was really just so you can go to that part of the map and maybe find some items and stuff like that. But it was really it was just searching around and not really no real purpose to be out there. But with the real good quest design that has been Witcher 3 it again comes to mind, and others, it's suddenly the reason you're there is more organic or really has to do with something that's going on, and it's fully fleshed out as a small tale maybe that has nothing to do with anything major in the main game. um Again, going back to Red Dead Redemption 2, that's another one where sometimes instead of just putting something on the map to say something's here, one of these random quests that you don't even realize is a quest will organically take you to that spot, and then suddenly now you're here and you're like, well, let me see what else is around. You know what I mean? And I like those aspects of when they do it like that, when it feels organic. It doesn't feel like I said with Fallout 4, it felt like you literally had this, like it would be a quest to pick up to find an item, something like that, and you put the marker over here, and it was just a random spot that just had a few houses, but because you wanted me to go to that one spot, you know what I mean, and clear up, I guess, that fog of war that may have been blocking it, and it just never felt organic with Fallout 4. And if Fallout 3, for instance, had that, but that's so long before that, it was still open worlds were sort of still new and kind of gaining understanding of how to design these. So Fallout 3 was forgivable because that was years before that. But seeing it again in Fallout 4, it's just like this. Now you kind of now we're kind of stale in that particular design.
We're rethreading again. Absolutely. And to be fair, I do enjoy the aspects of exploring the world on my own, not necessarily following a particular set of quests, like having an NPC tell me go here and kill 7 juggernauts, whatever. I like going off of the beaten path, but give me something give me an interesting find, give me a surprise that I wouldn't have found if I didn't get off the beaten path. Like that's something that Elden Ring did so well, that it had a lot of places to go. It had a lot of dungeons and a lot of different locations. You were not required to move through all of them, and but certainly exploring helped. Not only just the gameplay, the gameplay, making the game enjoyable and extending the time you spend in it, but also giving you a reward, like for taking that initiative of going on your own and not necessarily going to the very next waypoint on the map. I really enjoy those aspects, and that's an aspect that is missing on a lot of this formulaic open world games. Well, this formulaic open world games that I'm starting to dislike, unfortunately, Ubisoft is the master of them, because I feel like they're the ones that have.
And you've played.
They have nailed down not nailed down. They have like used this formula over and over and over in a lot of their titles, even the ones that are supposed to be different. And yes, I know what you're gonna say. I have actually
played a lot of them. Yeah,
into some of them, and to be honest with you, some of them I have enjoyed, like the Assassin's Creed, specifically Origins and Valhalla, and the Division 2. And now in those games, I recognize I can't fucking do all the little icons, which is another of the things, another of the aspects of this formulaic open world games, is that their way of giving you content or giving you the impression that they're giving you a lot of content is by filling out the map with a shit ton of things to explore, quote unquote, even though you sort of know, like, okay, that icon means that I'm gonna find a tower here. So it's not really, I'm not really exploring so much as I'm just,
Being
well, I
told.
already know there's a
Yeah.
tower here. Let me go to it and handle it. Oh, there's an enemy encamped in here. Like, I didn't find that on my own. It wasn't anything like you were describing organic.
Organic, yeah.
It was the game literally telling me, like, hey, this is the spot where you could get this materials, or do this for X reward. And that, to me, that is not fun, because now I'm not exploring. What I'm doing is I'm just completing a list. Those all those icons might as well be on a list. Not to mention the fact that collectathons in open worlds are fucking stupid by now, by today's standards. And that era is done for, and it was done for a long time ago. And because, again, the on the collectathons, you're not really getting anything of value. It's just the developers trying to waste our time,
And make you
extending gameplay by wasting our time,
and make you explore the entire map. Right? They made this massive explorable map, and how do we got to have a reason for them to go there, and in
but
bad
that's not
design,
making a fun, compelling reason.
correct. Yeah, I was gonna say
Organic.
in bad design, it's fetch quests or these collectathons, like those are reasons for you to go. Oh, because you got to collect the whatever the fuck they're asking you to do, and those are just that's not organic. Essentially,
That's not particularly engaging.
Yeah, it's not.
Honestly,
yeah, exactly. It's you use Elden Ring as an example, and I know we were trying to not bring it up too often, but that is an example of. But also, Breath of the Wild will be an example of this as well. So
Breath of the Wild will be a perfect example of
because it is. You can see that thing back there. There's nothing to kind of direct you to where you're supposed to be going, but you're not the map, but the scenery is what's guiding your curiosity. And that happens in both those games. Breath of the Wild, which I haven't played, but I do know of it, and I do know how it works. And I do know that, or I feel that kind of inspired Elden Ring, to have that approach, because it does the same thing. There are the markers on the map are the ones that you get to and you activate, as opposed to throwing a million things for you to see and do, and then there's no discovery at that point, because even if it's question mark, the question mark still means something's there. You know what I mean? It's like, I'd rather discover what's there as opposed to being told, hey, there's something here, whatever. And you know what, to be fair, Witcher did this. The difference was it was a controlled way where it had an interesting way to do it, because it would do it. You had some question marks, but when you go to the post board where people would mark, contracts or or side quests or something, like it would actually, like if you collect them all, it would actually start opening up these little question marks. You know what I mean? So you knew, in essence, by collecting one, then looking at the map and seeing what the new question mark is, okay, I know where that's at. But it was still controlled by you in some way. You know what I mean?
Not to mention,
it still got overwhelming sometimes, but yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, true. But at least Witcher backed it up with a solid, story or even the side quest.
When you got there, you were doing something interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. There was a reason for you to go and do those, those marks. And sometimes you wanted, like, you will actively, like, you knew that, oh, that's a side quest. I'm gonna do it because at least the game is giving me meaningful side quests. It's not fucking fetch quests and stuff that easily would have fit perfectly on a old ass MMO game. Exactly, by today's standards. I've been playing. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and also another, because I wanted to touch on Ubisoft real quick. Having played Far Cry 6 recently, I realize that There is nothing organic in that game. Like just nothing organic. The only thing that's organic is the random shit that's happening out in the streets that you can run into. You know what I mean? But none of it ever triggers, or at least not for me in the time that I played. None of it ever triggers something special. Just some random shootout or some random animals that I have to. It was just that's like all that was there. The only thing that actually was of substance were the missions, and you can only get those at the mission sites.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, in between, is just this world that exists with people, whatever, and they randomly fight each other for whatever reason, and it felt really, really old, and I kept trying to put it past. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just stick to the mission. I would stick to the missions, and even that wasn't enough to hold me. But yeah, that really was technically to me that was just a barren world full of a bunch of NPCs on a track.
And
you know what I mean? And that's it.
That is a lot of this of this open world games that we've been that we're sold lately.
Mm-hmm.
They look amazing, and they're always accompanied by like incredible trailers and like that make you like wonder about the story and all that. But then you're presented you get out into the world and you notice that it is a very simplified world with just some NPCs that are on a track, some areas that are calling your attention with icons, and basically a forced requirement for you to grind.
Yeah,
because if you actually want to go into the next one, and if you're gonna have me do fights and level up, then that's fine. I understand. Listen, I played fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla, probably one of the main examples of like that, of what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that it's not possible to have fun with them. The thing with Assassin's Creed Valhalla is I knew exactly what I was getting into. I had no doubt that it was the type of game that that it was, and it gave me exactly what I needed. Combat was fun though. Combat was entertaining, so I didn't mind it as much. I didn't mind the meandering towards the world and maybe, oh yeah, this looks beautiful and I like how my video card renders it, but or a console, if you're playing on console, like don't fucking matter. I like the imagery on the screen, but the story is it's kind of okay. I'm not gonna say it's bad because I wanted to know what was happening, but the iconry iconry, I'm gonna call it, when you open the map and you started seeing all these icons that the game wanted me to collect, I'm like, no. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna waste my time with it because there's not gonna be any particular reward, any special loot or anything like that. Well, some places maybe, but it wasn't like amazing enough to make me want to jump into it. Versus Elden Ring, you knew that this is the dungeon where I can find this particular weapon, which is amazing for my build. I'm gonna do that. Or this amazing encounter. And it's funny because talk about a game that, talk about story delivery. I don't think Elden Ring has the best story delivery in the sense of in-game, the lore is phenomenal, bar none, one of, my favorites. I'm not going to say it's one of the best either. It's one of my favorites, but the delivery of it's kind of not great, and that's fine because that's the type of game that it is. It's not a game that is gonna like have you sit through a dialogue tree, dude. How many times? Whenever I have a dialogue tree on Horizon, it just frustrates me because it just halts the game when it has a dialogue tree, and that you have to do it. Like, okay, you have the option of not going through it, but do you want to know the story of it? I mean, that's the reason you're playing it, right? I mean, if that is the reason. If not, then yeah, you can skip the whole thing and just go like, tell me what to do next. which thankfully it gives you that option. But in my case, I kind of want to know what's going on. I kind of want to get the lay of the land. Tell me, I'm gonna exhaust all the dialogues, and yeah, unfortunately, that means probably being standing there for minutes, and getting just exposition until you exhaust all of them, and then you go and do the next thing.
The next thing, yeah.
And that's annoying. Those are the type of games that I would rather not play. It bothers me. It particularly bothers me with Horizon, because I wanted Horizon to be like, I recognize that it's a good game, and I wanted this to offer me something extra, something something more exciting than what I played on the first one, and unfortunately, I'm not getting that, because like the way I feel about combat, although that is probably that is particularly just my taste. Some of you might enjoy the bow and arrow combat the way it is and don't want it change, and that's totally fine. However, that doesn't justify
do it for you.
that doesn't do it, because that doesn't justify the all the fucking icons that the game gives you, and all the world itself feeling very, very plain and one dimensional, even though it lets you, like, the game seems to offer you a little bit of depth, in sense of you can go underwater now, but so far none of the parts that I've explored underwater have been they haven't particularly shown anything exciting or new or phenomenal. It just feels like
I was watching Chaos play the other day, so I was just curious. Let me see what's going on and what's involved. And some of the combat, I was like, okay, that's typical combat from before. But I did know, man, when he pulled that map up and I just saw all those markers, I was like, oh my god, no. I was like, no, I don't. Oh, it that gave me pause. He did go underwater, and I think he already has the breathing thing, because he was just whatever. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool, but nothing really stood out as
it didn't look like, oh, it's another word. It's Atlantis. It's just discovering, and like, it's just, hey, you can go a little bit underwater, and yeah, it looks very nice, and so, but again, you're not gonna discover the Eternal City.
I definitely am not looking forward to. I do want to play it. I don't.
It's a staple game. It's a staple game of Sony that you don't, that it should. I'm not saying we should ignore it. Obviously it has its value. And to be fair, you did enjoy Zero Dawn, a lot more than I did. So nothing is to say that you wouldn't know how to get enjoyment out of this one.
For sure. So one of the other elements I wanted to bring up is that I feel is important, and it's not always done, are like meaningful dungeons or bandit camps, because I feel like some of these have like bandit camps, not always have dungeons. You mentioned, of course, the cauldrons in Horizon, which those are your form of dungeons. But I feel like they're not always, if I remember correctly, they weren't always meaningful in the sense, yes, you have the boss at the end and all that stuff, but it's like, where the carrot can't be the boss. The carrot should be something new or some sort of story element, or and with the bandit camps, and you're just thinking of fucking Far Cry and thinking of even Ghost of Tsushima, where it's like, so I have to eliminate this bandit camp, but why? Other than eliminating it, what else am I getting from it? I feel there needs to be a very meaningful either camps or dungeons. You know what I mean? They should have more. That's just that's the thing that I don't always see, and I'm honestly trying to think here of Elden Ring, if there was anything. I
It's
mean,
gonna be hard
a lot
not
of
to
a lot
talk
of
about Elden Ring.
the well, yeah, but I was gonna say a lot of the smaller dungeons or the ones that you would get the
Okay.
items, no,
Mines?
the grassroots or stuff like that, or so like you had the mines that you would find the stone that would help. So that was
Mm.
meaningful in the sense like I know why I want to go through here because I need the next level of for my weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and these stones are in this fucking mine.
Yeah.
If it was the spirits, you had those grassroots. I can't remember. I'm saying grassroots or ghost roots or
Ghost Fruit, yeah.
ghost something. I don't remember what it's
It
called,
was
but
yeah, I know which one you're talking
yeah.
about.
And so you
Particular
had those dungeons. They weren't always that meaningful. Sometimes you were just kind of going through it, and of course, there's always a boss at the end. But it was, I don't know. It's just like it's if they can do more of that, um, and I don't know. I feel like sometimes it just gets lost. It's just a reason to have you use your skills in this one area. It's like, but tie something to it. You know what I mean? The Witcher did this really really well. When you discovered a ruins, the ruins of the schools, you know what I mean, and you would just you realize that this is an area and it can take you on the ground and you can find a portal and you go over here. Before you know it, by the end you're having this new gear or something like that.
I think
But
you I think you hit it there. What's the phrase that I use where it's like set that the setting is the storytelling in itself,
yeah,
like you don't hear an audio log, you don't need to read anything. It's just like you look at the particular area where you're at, whether it's like here's to the school, or a particular fortress, and it's not a copy pasted fortress from like the many others. It's not necessarily reusing all the assets of all the previous fortresses. It's just like, oh no, this is crafted, this is actually, it's meant to tell you the type of story that would have happened, that would have taken place in this area, and that in itself makes it interesting. uh Even if it's just a freaking mine, and you start noticing like, oh well, this mine has this crystals, and oh, this, I'm noticing that there's a lot of like magic, uh the wizards or whatever that are attacking me. This could be like a hidden entrance towards the academy, or those things color uh what other worlds just give you just give you as a, oh, this is a place for the player to to move around, and maybe collect some items for their for the next weapon, but it's kind of like empty, and it's samey. It's samey. All the encampments on this samey open world games, they don't have a particular purpose. They don't tell a particularly engaging story. It's just uh liberate this area and take the camp. And most of the time, you do absolutely nothing with it. You just, oh well, you liberated the camp, or you killed the bad guys that were living in it. The end.
you
Like,
know what
yeah,
would
no,
make
but give me something here. Give me a story. Like, tell me,
yeah. I
why
was
was
just
this
gonna
important to win?
exactly. Why do I need to go into this camp?
Yeah.
Well, here's an element that we've only seen once, or I guess technically twice, but in one IP. And it would make the bandit camps just more engaging. And that's the fucking nemesis system, bro.
Oh shit! I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the fucking nemesis system,
Yes.
bro. Uh,
Whatever happened to the Nemesis system? One of the best creations of last gen. My God,
yeah.
we need that.
Yeah, that was, and for anybody who doesn't know, just a quick thing on it. It was a sort of a system in the background, um, where you would, when you would fight these orcs, if I remember, or
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah, those.
orcs. It was basically, it was just a weird way. It was like this weird system in the background that was almost when you die to a particular enemy, that enemy who killed you in like the social system of the enemies would raise in rank. You would learn their name. You'd even learn a little bit about them, and they would exist. Yeah, they have a story, and then they would exist in the world, and you can actually track them down, and they can track you down. And so,
yeah, let me flesh it out. Let me flesh it out a little bit. Because I'm so in love with the aspect of the Nemesis system, and I always find it like, this is the gaming aspect that we should be pursuing, not fucking VR. Like, fuck that shit. Like, I don't care about that. VR, give me good, memorable AI. And because what the Nemesis system did was basically, instead of just battling and fighting faceless enemies that you didn't really care because they're just cannon fodder. No, they gave realistic personalities to the enemies you were fighting, to the point where if they killed you, suddenly they will get some notoriety, and they will they could go up in the ranks. Mm-hmm. By the same token, if you defeat them but not kill them, they will remember that, and they will do their hardest to pursue you, and they will have the scars of
their battles,
of the battles that they have with you. And like, if you had a battle where you like freaking like hit him in the face or hit him in the head with something, with a sword, whatever, like, you will see them, they will have that scar, or they might lose an eye or something, and they will remember, you will remember them. You could see where they were moving. You could track them to try to hunt them down. Like, if they killed you, before, because in this game, you could get killed, but then you could get resurrected. Yeah. And then you were basically,
you were part immortal.
You're basically, immortal, but still, it was still somehow humiliating to be killed by an orc. So that's why the whole Nemesis system,
it worked. Yeah,
it worked like a charm. It's that, like, this game is totally, it's fine. It's not, I'm not gonna call it mediocre. It's fine by itself, but the Nemesis system like raised it up to, no other game has done this before, and guess what? No fucking game has done it ever since. For what reason? We don't know, because it was one of the best ideas in gaming recently, and something that I thought, hey, this is actually how our next games are going to be.
Yes,
no more fighting.
We were expecting this. This is the new normal at that point. Yes. You know what I mean? And
I will make an open world interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Add that to Horizon. What if you're in a camp? And suddenly, they take you out, or they survive, and then they, maybe they don't have to kill you in order for that to become a nemesis. You know what I mean? Maybe they get away, and now you get told man, can you imagine? You get told the tale of this person. Hey, we know that you went to this area over here. Was that you? Because they mentioned you were there. Well, this person, such and such, he apparently he got away, and he's building a crew. And he's coming looking for you. All these weird elements you can do with that. It's like, and that's like a random bandit camp, right? It's not like it's a story thing. You're still continuing your story, but you have this stuff in the background that really makes those bandit camps important. It almost pushes you, in this case, I'm just giving an example. It almost pushes you to say, oh, if I take out this camp, I have to make sure to take everyone out, because if I don't, I had the potential of having one become a hunter or something like that. You know what I mean? There's so many
their village.
Yes, it's so many ways of implementing this particular thing that would give those bandit camps or dungeons, if you want to make it into a dungeon, a more important or engaging reason to take them out. And so I just feel that that one would answer a lot of, I mean, I guess that can also get old, you know what I mean? But it's so not used. So. It's like we'll never know, you know what I mean? And it's like
and there's
right
different
now,
way of implementing that. It doesn't necessarily
yeah,
have to follow that same exact formula,
yeah,
but there's different way of making it to where you have memorable encounters, which is what differentiates an open world game, a good open world game versus a regular one of all the ones that we have been given so far. And I think that is the crux of this of this topic. It's like
at this time, yeah.
how do you make the world building that you have meticulously created, how do you make it memorable? And by memorable, it's you got to think of those cool encounters that you had, whether it's something like the Nemesis system, which will always make those encounters memorable because who will forget having a particular type of enemy hunting you down,
Yeah. And
uh,
it can happen just a few
or
times in the game or something like that. But if it spawns off of something that felt like this was going to be just again, like you say, just cannon fodder that you're just going to eliminate everybody here, and suddenly no, now you have someone on your tail because of what you did, and maybe there's a little story
yeah,
behind it that maybe even some cutscenes or something that just randomly happened, and a person comes out and I don't know, man. It's there's potential there, and feels like I don't know. It just hasn't been used in any way, and that's a shame. That's
no,
a shame.
it has.
I know these guys. Fucking WB was trying to fucking patent that shit. I don't know how far they got with that, but
I recently played, and I can't believe that you haven't called me on this for not mentioning it. But I honestly didn't think about it until right now. But Halo
oh
Infinite, and by infinite I mean the infinite amount of icons. Although it's not as bad as a Horizon or a Ubisoft game, but it's still too many fucking icons to go on and do the exact same thing, and again, not have the memorable moments. A lot of cool shit that you can do, yes, and the shooting is fun and all that, but again, missing out on the what made this world special to be in. Um, really freaking old Nintendo title. I think it was either one of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms or something like that. I'm talking about 8-bit game. Really memorable moment was what? When I went off the beaten path and found a trident that I was not supposed to find in a game that had to do with feudal China or whatever it was that the battles there, and that weapon gave me an edge, and it was a great experience. Another freaking memorable moment in an open world game of yore. Fantasy Star, the first one on Sega Master System, taking that that spaceship and suddenly being transported to a completely different world, planet that that had its own things to explore, and nobody was telling me, oh, you must go to this to this dungeon. It was just, hey, if you keep walking this way and suddenly you see a dungeon, it's like you kind of want to explore it. Back in the era, and those are the things that make the open, this world, which soon enough we're gonna stop calling it an open world. It's just gonna feel like, well, this is the stage. This is the stage. Is this entire the entirety of this area, and you either find it interesting by going exploring, or through the interesting storyline, or it's just gonna be full of icons and collectathon bullshit that just that's if that's your jam, then Godspeed.
So I wanted
don't know.
to get your thoughts on a few items that they're not in all open worlds, but in many ways can either enhance or maybe even hinder the play. And I wanted to get your thoughts on
Talk
it.
about it.
The first one is base building, which tends, obviously I'm thinking
Yes.
of personally I'm thinking of Fallout 4, but it's not the only one that
Oh, No
done
Man's
that.
Sky.
The No
Does
Man's
it?
Sky.
And
That's another one.
evidently, Starfield is gonna go in that camp also.
Starfield's definitely going to the camp. I personally am not a big base building, someone who wants or needs that in my game. It
Yeah,
obviously adds a new element, but I was curious what your thoughts on it. Is it something you like to do, or neither here nor there?
I prefer. I understand the people that like it. Like I wouldn't say, oh, don't waste time on those, because there are people that really enjoyed making this elaborate camps, and it all depends on how you enjoy to your the moment your world, the moment that you're in that world. Like, how do you like it? Do you like it enough to where you want to fantasize about having a a freaking dwelling there and
Mhm.
living there, and like, then sure, just go at it and make it your home base, customize it to your heart contents. To me, I don't want to waste time on those things, because when I'm playing this game, especially if I'm having a good time with it, I don't want anything to slow down the delivery of the story.
Mhm.
So it's,
Narrative
it's the
more
same
important.
reason why I don't care much for when games have mini games that you can start take, like Gwent,
Or
uh,
farming.
or like Machine Strike in the case of Horizon, or like a bunch of this game will have their own versions, and they're all meant to like kind of give you a level of interaction, like make the world feel more alive. But
Mhm.
they detract from the main reason that I played, all those games, which is give me the story, or let me continue progressing. So base building to me is kind of like an obstacle that I would rather not deal with. That doesn't mean that in Fallout 4 I didn't like took time to build a city, but it wasn't elaborate as the people that I've seen it,
That I've
that
seen,
I've
yeah,
other
yeah.
people that I've seen. And on a game of like No Man's Sky, I mean, you could build, you could have a whole factory there, and feel very proud of your autonomous, you know, mineral producing empire, fortress there. But I don't want to do that
Yeah, I'm the
personally.
same way. I'm not. I'm more about, like, I did the same thing. I build. I think with my town, what I did build was, I'm
Four
thinking of
walls
Fallout
and
4, was the defenses. Just put
oh
a
yeah,
couple of cannons or guns or something like that, and that
yeah.
kind of helped out. But other than that, I wasn't really big on it. Another thing is destructibility, or environmental. I guess if you would say, like interactivity, maybe, but destructibility. These are elements that are
Mm,
in some games. I think, according to this, your Red Faction is one who has
Reflection
that.
had that, yes.
Um, how important is that? I mean, it obviously adds realism, but I don't think it's that crucial uh, to delivering a good open world.
I feel the same way. It's cool to have it. Obviously, No Man's Sky has it in droves, because you can pretty much deform, an area of a planet to your heart's content. Um, Games like Minecraft, obviously. But again, if it's going to delay me from getting the content that I'm interested in, which is either progressing my character, making it stronger, or getting to the story, then I don't want to be sidetracked, with those things. And I feel like destructibility looks nice, but it also takes
Memory.
it has a high cost. It has
Hmm,
a
yeah.
high cost, memory wise, yes. Development time that could be placed in something else. I mean, God knows that they try to figure that out for Crackdown 3, and they were not able to at all. That game is as mediocre as no, that game is not mediocre. Sorry, that game is bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So,
I don't think it was good.
yeah.
The last one, sir, is how you feel about. Again, I think this would probably go to the type of game that you're doing, but party members or companions in an open world. Some games obviously, shine with, going back to Bethesda with the companions of Fallout 4 was always pretty cool.
Or Obsidian with the companions of
Correct.
Outer Worlds.
Sitting with Outer Worlds, right? Again, I don't think it's a requirement or something like that, but it does add flair to it. It would be pretty cool to have, and you can think about it, the NPCs and the not the NPCs, but the ones you can summon in Elden Ring.
Oh, and then the ring, yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you can kind of hang with them throughout a certain area instead of just
More than just
instead of just the battle itself or something like that. Genshin Impact's another one that has lots of characters, and obviously that's you could switch, I guess, pretty freely between them all. And I know you played that one, so you're
yeah.
curious on. I guess we just call them party
feel,
members or companions.
I feel like, and I'm not a co-op guy necessarily, but I feel like that role is better served by having another player, if only because companions, well, they better have a damn good AI.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just
mm-hmm.
remind you that you are playing an artificial thing. A game, and it's very, the world suddenly loses its realism when it's not done well. Obviously, there have been some exceptions. There have been some games that have done that, very well, but it's not a necessity. It's a nice addition, but it's not something that I would say, oh, I would love for games to have. I'll tell you, the thing that I would love more open world games to have is that craftsmanship of areas and the verticality. I feel like verticality is important to portray a lived in environment, like an actual area.
So when you say verticality, do you mean like
like buildings,
areas that you can climb and stuff like that? Okay.
Or go down into,
you
can, if you go, like, I don't care if you go up or down. I just want to feel like I'm entering a new location, and that new location is taking me into like other areas that are, worlds within themselves, like, underground areas within themselves, like Elden Ring. Because you might argue like, oh well, Horizon has the cauldrons, and it does. And guess what? That's one of my favorite parts of Horizon is actually the cauldrons. But I'm referring more to the opportunity of exploring another plane, so to speak, of existence, so another area rather than just the surface where I'm at. That's what I'm talking about. And I think vertical. I mean, look at the world out there. It's obviously, we got buildings, we got mountains, we got hills and caves and all that. I kind of want to see that, more than anything, because I feel like that at least gives me an excuse to explore. And I want things that are not just the same. just like, oh well, you could get if you go here, you get an upgrade for your existing weapon, or I don't know, or gold or whatnot. It's like, no, the reward could be something as interesting as environmental storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I feel like that was one of the main things that Elden Ring had in droves, like going through the Raya Lucaria Academy. Like, you could feel, or you can understand the purpose of that particular area.
Yeah.
That, and the importance that it once had. So yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, that there takes us to the end of another awesome episode, the real episode 321. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. If you haven't already, please go to goodgame.rocks, join the conversation there, and of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. This is Mad Dog signing off this week. Mr. David Santos, Dream Twister. Take us home.
I got nothing really, but if you could give me, if you could give me a very good Batman game, honestly, I'll be okay with that.
A very good Batman game?
Yeah, like the Batman games that came out, like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight. Unfortunately, Arkham Knight kind of like shot the bed a little bit, but that was all right.
I've got all three on the service, believe it or not. So I might go back to it. Yeah,
lucky you! You could be playing a good, a good game. No. I guess in I would say, I know open world is like the flavor of this generation and the past generation, to be honest with you, and it feels like the logical thing to do to keep players playing your game. But as a gamer, I can tell you it doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
you don't need to make all your games open world. Like, yes, remember how worried we were when we heard that Elden Ring was an open world. All the things that we were scared about.
Yeah.
And I mean, they nailed it. We're not praising it for nothing. They actually, nailed it with a lot of things. And
yeah, absolutely. The open world
they could have
only enhanced the experience.
Yeah, but they could have fucked it up also.
Yeah, they could have. They could have.
And that was a high risk.
My concern was that the open worldness, but also the their initial release of games when it normally comes out are always met with issues with frame rate. And while this did have some issues, it was nowhere near as bad as any of the other launches, and they were addressed fairly quickly. So no, man, I think I think, and I know we sent to sit back and praise Elden Ring, but Elden Ring has changed shit. Yes. I mean, this is, as a gamer, I can look at that game, and if I can picture a meme or a GIF of the Joker in The Dark Knight saying, "You've changed things forever." While I'm talking to Elden Ring or something like that. That's what comes to mind, because it's like, yeah, you definitely have.
Set the bar. I mean? It's the new bar now, and this is
like you had those people who complain. I think there were even developers, saying something about, I guess people just don't want, good interface, you know what I mean, or user interface and stuff like that.
Focusing on the wrong fucking thing.
And it's just like, well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but if you can effectively, well pace your game, so that you learn organically without having to be, walk through it, dude, that's what that game did. I started as a wretch, you know what I mean, and little by little, just as it showed me without telling me, you know what I mean, and that, there's just, it's just they don't get it, bro. They just
made it memorable. But you're right,
they
don't.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll see you next week.
All right, well, then, GG!